Call this meeting back to order. Ms. Brooklyn, would you lead us now, prayer and prayer, please?
Thank you, Mr. Philpott. I'd be happy to, so please stand and pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the privilege of bringing us together to make decisions at the school board. I thank you that we are all work together and that we have a superintendent, we have administration, and we have wonderful teachers that worship you and believe in you. Dear Heavenly Father, please be with all of our students. Please guide their decisions, their lives. They have tough things that they have to face. Please guide our decisions as we make the board decisions of the board of Levy County. And please help us to make the right decisions to be pleasing you. We ask all these precious things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Brooklyn. I'd like to welcome our guests this morning. If everybody's got anything they'd like to address us, you're honored to get it out. Now would be the time to do it. Also, I'm pretty excited about today's meeting, and I hope that all of us are. And from that point on, we'll go with Ms. Jones.
Good morning.
Hey, Ms. Jones, how are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. I'm honored to be here today. As you know, this is Career and Technical Education Month. The nation is celebrating CTE, and so are we. And I'd just like to give you a few updates. In Levy County, there are 1,273 students currently enrolled in a CTE course. Of course, some of those are duplicate, but we have students who take advantage of more than one CTE program. We are also offering for the first time Agri-Science Foundations and Computing for College and Careers to our middle school students. So they have that option at 3 of our schools to earn those 2 high school credits. Last year we had over 220 industry certifications that were awarded, and we are now offering a new industry certification this year. This new certification is called Certified Internet Webmaster, and we are piloting that program at Chiefland High School with a group of 8th graders. The instructor passed the certification test last week with a score of 97, so I feel pretty confident about moving forward with her teaching that specific certification. The goal of that is to move that certification into the CCC classroom so that we can provide more opportunities for students to earn certification. One other thing, this year we're offering a new program, Animal Biotechnology. This is the first year we're offering that particular course. We have 18 students enrolled in that first course at Chiefland High School. That program joins the Plant Biotechnology program that's in its 4th year at Williston High School. CTE works for high school students by engaging students and producing higher graduation rates. CTE works for college students and adults. According to the United States Department of Education, a person with a CTA-related associate degree or credential will earn on average between $4,000 and $19,000 more than the person with the AA degree. CTE works for the economy and it works for business. CTE addresses the needs for high-demand skills and high-growth industries. And on behalf of the teachers in the trenches today and myself, I would like to thank you for your support for Career and Technical Education. The newsletter that you have gives you a few more details about current issues and events related to CTE. And I invite you at any time to come to a classroom to see what's going on.
Ms. Jones, I think we had 3 high schools in our county this year.
Yes, sir.
And it's my understanding that one reason why is because of the number of industry certifications that CTE earned for their respective schools. Is that a true statement?
Well, I think so. I mean, it's both AP and industry certification that provide those points, and we maxed out in 2 of our schools. We actually have more points, but they limit those points. We're going to lose some of the points on that side in this next school grading calculation. They're taking 100 points and tying it to the U.S. history in the course exam. But I think that those industry certification, I think if we took those away, I do not believe we would have the A's.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comment? Are you finished?
I am.
Well, we're not used to that.
I know, well, I know y'all got a lot on your mind today. So I did want to share some really good news with you first, but not.
Give me that number again and the total number of students taking the CT.
1,273, now that's duplicated,
Yeah.
but 1,273 is what we have.
That may be duplicated students, but not duplicated programs.
No. That we have students, that would be, we have a lot of students that are in the business programs, but also in another program.
Right.
Because the two go hand in hand. And that's actually what we're doing. We put those students together, and the teachers are actually sharing classrooms and swapping students at Williston Middle with the agri-science teacher and the business teacher. And the business teacher happens to be the district teacher of the year, and I think she's going to represent Lee County very well at the next level.
Yeah, I'd like to say, if you ever get a chance to go see somebody else, we'll go take it to this training.
Just jam up. All right,
So
thank you.
one other question, how
Yes,
much
sir.
more money did you say those folks earn?
If for a person with an AS degree or just a license or credential, they on average earn between $4,000 and $19,000 more than the person with just the AA degree. That's according to the U.S. Department of Education.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's good.
Mr. Edison.
Chairman, members of the board, let me kind of tell you how they can, how it's supposed to go today. You have in front of you, you have you're going to listen to the presentation of 3 firms. They've been told they have a lot of 30 minutes for their presentation and 15 minutes for your questions. And then we'll break them clean. You have on you, each one of you will have to rank each one of the firms. And 1 will be your first choice, 2 will be your second choice, and 3 will be your third choice. And then at the end,
So please don't put them on your paper
yeah,
choices until the end.
yeah, 1 is number 1, 2 is number 2, 3 is number 3. And at the end, the superintendent and Ms. Morrison will do the tally sheet, and it's just like golf, the firm with the lowest score will be the person we enter negotiations into with first. Okay? You all ready for me to do something wrong?
We're ready. Counselor, I know that I have no vote in this, but am I allowed to ask questions?
Yes, sir. I mean, I think it's the chair's pleasure.
Okay.
And you do have some questions on your table there that we formatted.
But I make recommendations to
Get the chairman.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, are you going to extend that privilege to other folks who may have questions on this table over here?
And Ms. Morrison will be the vice chair.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Now, on the rules, time allowed.
Yes, sir, right. We probably won't have it, because we just want it.
That's, I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Chair, that's good. Good morning.
Morning.
We'd like to just kind of lay the ground rules out for you one more time. You have 30 minutes for your presentation, and then we have around 15-minute questions. And then Ms. Martin, you're going to be our timekeeper.
Very good.
So,
That's up to 30 minutes, like the preacher on Sunday morning. You don't have to take it full time if you don't want to.
Actually, I would assume you have a lot of questions for us, so more time Q&A would be good.
Okay.
Very good.
good, thank you very much. We're glad to see you.
It's good to be here. Well, I guess while he's getting loaded up, could we just start by introducing ourselves? I'm going to have the team. My name is Ken Halsey. I'm one of the owners and principals of ACA Construction Group.
I'm Jim Powell, I'm head of construction services and senior project manager.
Todd Duffy, the CEO and one of the principals of ACA Construction Group.
Dean Goody, I'm the on-site project manager.
Michael Clayton, superintendent.
Very good. This button right here, the red one? We'll find out. It's not my, anyway, we really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. And I want to just briefly look at, no, maybe it's not that button. There we go. What's that?
Go ahead and push it.
There we go. I got it. Just look at, just kind of quickly, the story of ACA Construction Group. We formed in Marion County in 2001 when a handful of companies that have been around since the 1950s got together to form a construction company specifically to do K-12 construction in North Central Florida. We have 100 years of combined experience and over 1,000 successfully completed commercial projects, but key to our discussion today is 50 education facility projects. The key project issues, the things that you asked us to address today, the things we want to focus in on, are references, and particular references related to related project experience similar to the project you're proposing, knowledge of site and local conditions, also a specific look of knowledge of site and local conditions as it relates to subcontractors and suppliers in this marketplace, our proposed project staff and their functions, and then take a minute to look at some of the expertise we believe our staff brings. Then we have an appendix in the lead behind that we're not going to address, but if you want to ask questions out of it, that would be great. Just starting off with references and related experience. On the right in the orange are projects, K-12 projects we completed with Paul Stressing, your selected architect. And then on the left are projects that the team we're proposing have done together over the last decade. And we'll look at some of those a little more specifically. First, Liberty Middle School, which is a 163,000 square foot new construction, hurricane-hardened facility in Marion County that this team constructed. Second is New Forest High School, 300,000 square foot new construction, high school in Marion County, also a hurricane-hardened facility this team constructed. Crystal River High School, Phase 1 and 2. This is a project we just recently completed, very similar to your project in the sense that there were federally funded dollars that were coming in phases. And so the project started in 2010, and because of the phasing, it finished up in 2013. So again, very similar to what you're proposing, and that's a project, like I said, this team did and just recently completed. Then also Marion Oaks Elementary School, another hurricane-hardened facility, new construction elementary school, 110,000 square feet. And again, the team members you see there are the same basic team that we're proposing for your project. Just some of the things that our folks that we work for, the clients have said, it's probably better instead of me reading it to you, we actually have them saying it to you on video, so we're going to get to that so you get to hear from them directly. And then we just put a slide in there that has a kind of an exhaustive list of references related to these projects, from the superintendent of schools all the way down to the folks that were on the ground with us in the facilities department. You know, there's a couple different tacks you can take in this. A lot of times the easy thing to do as a company is say, all right, what are the projects we really feel like went really well? We'll give you those as our references. Our philosophy is here's every project we've ever done. Call any of them, because we feel very confident that in what we've done and how we've done it, that you're going to hear the same story from every single client that you call. Todd, you're my tech guy on this. We have just, from a reference standpoint, just a few words from some of these clients that we were just talking about. not one. If it's not gonna do it, it's not gonna do it. You know what, let me go back, I'll just do it, don't worry about it, I'll go back. In essence, what you were gonna hear is the folks themselves actually saying the things you see up here on the screen. From Mark McCoy, the principal over at Crystal River High School, about the quality of the work and how we coordinated with them and how well that project went. To London Engineering, who was the engineering firm for almost every one of those Marion County projects that you saw, and their experience of working with us. Shingle Schultz, who was the architect on the Forest High School project, big architectural firm, and one of the things that they said that meant a lot to us is, obviously, as a big, huge firm, they've worked with a lot of the big Fortune 500 construction management firms, and their experience in working with ACA, a smaller hometown firm, was that our coordination level and our ability to deliver the big projects was on par with the big companies they worked with in the past. And then Forest High School, George Tomlin, who's now our superintendent of schools over at Marion County, at the time was the principal of Forest High School. He talked about his experience of us working on that project and how well it was coordinated and how smooth that project went. So I apologize for that technical glitch, not being able to see the video, but that's in essence what they would say. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna let Jim Talent, our senior project manager and our estimator, talk a little bit about the actual project from a scheduling and a building standpoint.
We put together just a short milestone schedule showing the buildings the way they are on Mr. Stressing's drawings, the way that we've got it planned out. You can see, I'm sure you know the site, so I'm not going to spend any time because you know where the site is. We're going to spot our construction trailer here, and I'll show you why in just a minute. We're clearing and drug the site. And then we're going to establish the parking lots in the entrance so that there's easy accessibility to the site. Then we'll set up our construction laydown area, we'll fence that off. We'll also at the same time fence the entire site with the permanent fence that's going to go in, so there's not temporary fence and then permanent fence afterwards. Try to save a couple of dollars that way by putting up the permanent fence right from the get-go. There's an existing well that's on the site, which we're going to utilize for the construction purposes. That way we don't have to, we can get the construction well going and be able to use that to build a building with. We'll also be digging the retention areas to get the fill for the building. And we'll start the building with the cafeteria area, which is the most time-consuming of all the buildings to build because of everything that's got to go in the kitchen area. That's the main thing that takes most of the time. Also, because Mr. Stressing's got a closed-loop water source heat pump, that's where those facilities are going to go, that way we can start there. From there, we'll go to the administration building. Starting that, then we'll head out down to the classroom wing of the high school, mainly because that's where the main MDF is and the IDF main electric room, and that's where we need to start everything running from there. Then we'll go to the gym because that's a larger structure. We can go ahead and be working on that one at the same time. Then we'll go and hit on the VOTEC industrial and agricultural area because we know that's key to your all's curriculum in the school system. Concentrate on getting that one done. Then the middle school classroom, which will do the last. And then your central receiving building, which we've heard might not be a central receiving, but that's what we're going to build last. Pretty much that's it. As you can see, you've noticed, and let me back up a couple of slides here, that right up in this area right in here is where the cemetery is. We are very cognizant of the needs of that. And we know that there's a tree right there. It shows it going away. We're going to go do our best to make sure that that tree stays so that we can build a building around it. We've talked to Mr. Stressing about that and we think we can make it work. So we're going to stay with that.
I think there's 2 trees there.
We'll try to save both of them. We're we want to save every tree that we can. Very well versed on how to do that, and we will do everything in our power to make sure it works well. So that's basically the gist of how we're gonna build the school, the schedule that we put together. Talk a little bit, these are our subs, just a short list of the subs that are in the North Central Florida area. A couple of them that have done the last 4 or 5 schools for us, so they're very well of how we work, is W.W. Gay, who this would be this heat source, water source heat pump, they're very familiar with that. They can make it work well. And Florida Concrete Construction to do all the concrete work, because not only do they do time-wise, they do a very excellent job to make it just right. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Yeah, and just on those tree issues, as we've all visited the site, actually one of those trees is healthy, one of them is not. So most likely you would have to take the one down and try to save a healthy tree. All right, so proposed project staff and functions. I'm still trying to get over the fact that you didn't get to see my pretty video that we had put together. So proposed project staff and function. Really, this is the crux of the project. Who are the team? Who are the people that will be building this project in conjunction with your team? Todd Duffy, our project executive. Melinda Berry, our office manager, bookkeeper, and then Jim Talent, estimator, senior project manager, and then down to the left, Sarah Cullison, our safety director, who's been our safety director on every single project since the inception of the company. Those are our off-site folks, and if you'll see at the bottom, about 20% of their time will be dedicated to the project as far as them as off-site personnel. And then the key on-site personnel, Dan Goody, project manager, Jim Hurry, assistant project manager, and I think in our original RFQ, they were flip-flopped because both of them have been project managers on significant projects. But for this, we're proposing Dan as our project manager and Jim as our assistant. And then Mike Clayton is our superintendent and Terry Forth is our assistant superintendent. Those are your on-site folks who 100% of their time will be dedicated on-site to construction of this project. Just a quick background on them. Todd, who's one of the owners and principals, been with us since the beginning of the company, obviously. 22 years of experience. You can see his key projects, the ones that we looked over. His duty, obviously, is to oversee the entire thing and give leadership to the team. Jim Talent, our estimator and senior project manager. Jim has 42 years of experience. One of the unique things about Jim's experience is 5 of those years he was the director of construction for Marion County Public Schools. So he sat on your side of the table, and he oversaw, administered $300 million of construction for the school system in Marion County. So he understands clearly about these kinds of projects from both sides of the aisle. And we really think that kind of wisdom and knowledge he brings is helpful for all parties. He's also a state certified general contractor, and then he's also a Department of Education SREF certification. So he understands the state's requirements for education facility projects. You can see his key projects there, and obviously he's going to be key. He's going to lead our pre-construction services team and our estimating. Dan Goody, 35 years of experience. You can see his key projects there is education. Again, he'll be kind of leading the on-site team. Dan, as you can see from those projects, has a lot of experience in K-12 construction and has led our team on multiple projects. Jim Hurry will be his assistant project manager, and again, you can see his key projects there, as well as his duties, which will run concurrent with Dan in helping to lead the overall project team. Mike Clayton. Mike brings a wealth of knowledge. Most of you, if you're familiar with construction and construction of this type, you know that a really high-performing superintendent is really key to a smooth-running project that comes in on time and on budget.
That's what I always say.
And so we have a great superintendent in Mike who has performed from the very first job of ACA all the way through. Has been just a high-performing superintendent for us and someone who we have a lot of trust in because he knows what he's doing. And then Terry Forth will be his assistant superintendent. Terry's worked as Mike's assistant on multiple projects, as you can see there, and himself brings a wealth of experience. And then Sarah Cullison, like I said, Sarah's been our safety director since the very first project that we did over 12 years ago. And you can see she's OSHA 30 hours, CPA first aid certified. She's a lead AP, has a BS in building construction from the University of Florida, brings a lot of experience, a BS in ag and home ec from Mississippi State. and knows the industry well, knows the safety side of it, and is one of the reasons we have a sterling safety record. And then Melinda Berry, who is handling the contract administration, direct purchasing, site screening, those kinds of things, logistics that need to happen to make sure we have a smooth running site and the things that are going on out there are the right things. And we'll talk a little bit more about direct purchase here in a little bit. So our staff expertise, that's a little bit about the team. I wanted to touch on just some of their expertise that they bring to the table and touch on a few issues that maybe you could jump off of and ask us some questions here when we get to the Q&A time. Pre-construction services, obviously pre-qualification of subcontractors is important. We want to make sure we have a broad base of local subcontractors who get an opportunity to bid on this. They're financially stable, they have the bonding capacity, the safety record, the insurance requirements, all the things that we need for a project of this scope, and that they have experience doing things similar in size and scope of the package they'll be bidding on. Because obviously, the quality of the work they do and their ability to maintain the schedule is critical. We have an integrated team approach. Our entire team will be involved in all phases. All the project personnel are available immediately. It's one of the things that's unique about our company. We say this all the time. We kind of bring the streamlined cost effectiveness of a small local firm, but we bring the experience of a big out-of-town firm. I mean, we've done these types of projects over and over again. And our philosophy has always been, we really have no desire to grow outside of the North Central Florida area. We concentrate on 2 to 3 projects a year, and that's it. And by doing that, all members of the team are able to be involved. Me as an owner, Todd as an owner, to be involved in every single project. And so when we say we're all available, you'll see that means you'll have our cell phone number, so if you have a question, you just call us directly. Preliminary scheduling and estimates, and then constructability reviews. Also from the construction side, just a bit on quality control. We use Foundation Project Management software, a pretty industry standard software package that allows us to control all the documentation. In a project of this scope, there will be a lot of paperwork and a lot of documentation. We have weekly subcontractor meetings, have a very simple, straightforward deficiency and correction notification system. If our on-site staff see something that's not as it should be, it's the wonders of digital photography. You just simply take a picture of it, you document it, it's in the inbox of that subcontractor within hours with a correction of this is what needs to happen and this is the time frame in which it needs to happen. And so that deficiency and correction notification system continues to keep the job on schedule and to keep the quality control that we demand on the project. And then monthly reports, submitting to you on a monthly basis a pretty extensive report with pictures, with narrative, so you know everything that's going on, what happened the month before, what's scheduled for the months in front, and what's going on with the project. Plan and document review, value engineering, constructability, cost control. Now, because this is a modified reuse of a building that already exists, there's some of those efficiencies are already there. Because the structure, a similar structure has been built, you work through some of those issues. So as I'll show you when we get here in just a minute, some of the projects we've done that have been prototypes, you'll see that the value engineering options, there's just usually less. You can find a lot more in a newly designed building, but one that's a reuse, those efficiencies have been found already, which is great for you because you know you're starting off in the right place. We have an overhead coordination system, which is kind of the old school way of coordinating the overhead of the project. And that's where you're overlaying plans, that's where you're looking at things. Now there's a new way to do that, and that's BIM, Navisworks software, which we've used on projects. It's 3-dimensional designing. As you're going to see in just a minute, this type of project, K through 12, because of the nature of what it is, you got these wide hallways, so your mechanical mezzanines are by nature wide. The kinds of coordination issues you have are just not the same for certain other types of projects. So we just don't see a reason why BIM and some of that costly 3-dimensional software really is necessary for a project like this. I'll show you an example of a project where it could be necessary, but the reality is if you go that direction, you're spending money that we really don't believe you need to spend. We really believe that that's just an added expense. And so We had the choice to make this morning. Now, of course, after the video thing, I don't even want to say this out loud, but we could have done a nice project design three-dimensionally, spent the time and the effort, but in one sense, that would just be smoke and mirrors. Because we know that's not the software package that really is the best to use for the design and construction of this project. So putting that in place now would be a nice, pretty picture, but it's not really how the project's going to proceed. So we chose not to do that. We chose to do a very simple layout and lay down, and this is what we think the project's going to look like. We'll do a field staff review, we'll do subcontractor scope reviews to make sure those subs have everything in those packages, because once that construction starts, we want to know they have everything covered and they're be able to hit those milestones and get everything done they need to. And then a subcontractor VE process, asking the subs to bring their expertise to bear, like a WWDA. What have you seen? What things do you think could be brought to bear here? Are there any cost savings to be found, even with this modified reuse of an existing
And we
facility?
start that in the bid packages themselves, when we start the VE. We ask for the VE in the bid packages as we're bidding on top.
Right.
So that it's upfront. We can talk to you all and say, this is what we think we can save you.
And there's a lot of motivation during the bid process to bring value engineering. To them, they can be adding value to the project. They know that, so they're going to be looking at every nook and cranny to see what value engineering options are there. Estimating, tracking everything through the pre-construction milestones. Design conformance to the budget, obviously, is important. Bid packages. We've always done this since, again, being what we would consider in many ways a smaller hometown type of contractor. We understand the local subcontractor market, and what we have done historically is say, all right, we have these bid packages we put together for different segments of the project. What are areas in which maybe we can break those packages up into smaller packages? Because number one, what that gives us is more subcontractors, smaller and medium-sized local subcontractors can then bid on those because they have the bonding capacity for those smaller packages. And we think that brings cost savings to the project, and we think it brings quality to the project, because those folks who are here locally, who have to drive by that building a year, 2, 3 years from now, they have a vested interest in making sure that what they're doing will stand the test of time. So that's something we've always done as a company, and we would obviously do on this. And then constructability analysis, the building systems, the construction techniques, the materials, are all those things, are we using the most cost-effective, efficient things to get the project done in the way that needs to get done?
One thing that I want to throw in here is, during the bid process, because of the warranty issues, we have done it in the past couple of projects, we'll ask for extended warranties in the bid process, so that, say, for example, in roofing, the normal standard roofing package is 20 years from the manufacturer and 2 years from the installer. We have gone now to 5 years from the installer and 20 years from the manufacturer. That way, because the problems on a building start with roof leaks. And if we can get that under control, then you don't have to worry about it later on. We'll do that with warranty packages from everything to mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and we will get you extended warranties on all of those.
And then direct purchase sales tax recovery. I mean, for a project of this scope, you're looking at $500,000 or more in sales tax recovery savings. And that's significant. And again, if you look over the history of our firm, over 90% of all the projects we've done have been K through 12, so they've had direct purchase and sales tax recovery. So we have a very efficient system to work with your staff to make that very simple and very easy for you to maximize your direct purchase savings. And at 7%, that's a good savings. And the way those dollars work, obviously, because of the way this project is funded, you have specific parameters in which those dollars can be used. Those sales tax savings dollars, you have a little bit more flexibility because there's savings that you've realized, and so you have more flexibility than you do with the money when it first comes. I just threw this in there. You can see all these nice, pretty colored lines. Basically, that's the overhead of a facility that we're doing right now. And this is one that we're doing in BIM. It's designed three-dimensionally, all the fancy three-dimension stuff you see from this right here that's coordinated. And if you look at that, I mean, that's a super highway up above the ceiling. This is a project that we think there's the added cost of bringing that three-dimensional software is probably justified because you know that you've got a lot of coordination issues. This is a mechanical mezzanine at Rimfire Elementary, which is the prototype that you're using. We toured this facility with their maintenance director. As you can see, there's plenty of room up there to take care of all your systems, to make sure things are coordinated. It's not a super highway. And so the ability to coordinate it is you can use traditional methods, save the project money, and not have to go with some of that expensive software. Just some of the value engineering. Hammett Bowen, we suggested $500,000. There was $200,000 that was accepted. Marion Oaks, $270,000. $63,000 was accepted. And these, by the way, were prototypes, so the number's a little lower. Forest High School is a new construction, $1.5 million in suggested, $800,000 accepted. CFCC, Citrus Learning Center, $280,000, $130,000 accepted. Liberty Middle School, $1.2 million, $950,000 accepted. So ultimately, what separates ACA? We believe we have a proven team that's constructed a lot of K-12 projects together. That's pretty much all they've done for the last decade, is construct K-12 projects together. Extensive experience in projects similar in scope, similar to what you're proposing. Key project experience with Paul and his team. I've done multiple K-12 projects with them, and it's always been smooth. We really believe that, again, what we bring is a cost effectiveness and an efficiency of a small local contractor with the horsepower that you would see from a big out-of-town firm. And then our owners are available, Todd and I, 24/7. Again, you'll have our cell phone numbers. You know, we built Forest High School, when they had their first sports event out there, they were having trouble working the school board, they called Todd on the cell phone. Minutes later, not hours or days or weeks later, minutes later, Todd was on site, helped them understand the system, and boom, they're up and running 30 minutes later. That's what we pride ourselves on, that's who we think we are, that's why we focus just on North Central Florida. And in conclusion, Forest High School, Florida Department of Education, cost per student station, average high school in the state of Florida, the year we built it was $18,000 per student station. We built Forest High School for $16,000 per student station. But it wasn't an average high school. It was all brick, it was hurricane hardened. And we still built it for $2,000 per student station, less than the average high school in the state of Florida that year. And then lastly, we were asked to build a prototype middle school, Liberty Middle School in Marion County. At the same time, they did two prototypes. We did Liberty, and they hired a big out-of-town firm to do the other. The project started basically at the same time, exact same prototype project. We started at Liberty, they started theirs. And I can report to you today, the good news is we both finished on time, and we both finished on budget. The difference is, our budget was $1 million less than the other contractor for the exact same facility. And as you saw from some of those value engineering savings that we found, I'm pretty sure they didn't find all those same savings, and I'm pretty sure because of our local subcontractor market, we were able to squeeze more value out of that project than they were. So those are the things that we wanted to touch on, leave you guys with some time to answer some questions, and again, I apologize for the video, that's still driving me crazy. Thank
Right
you.
before we came in here,
And I'd like all the team to participate in this, so please ask any of those questions.
I got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Can you give me an idea of about what percent of your projects have come in on time and on budget?
100%.
Okay. What y'all got going on right now?
We've got a recycling center, more of a big site work project, and we've got Cardinal Glass, and that's the two projects we have going right now.
So if something, and I hope it does for your sake, comes up and you get our bid,
Oh, absolutely.
is you gonna, where's that leave us? Are you gonna just forget about us, or are we still gonna be a major priority?
You're always our major priority. Basically, that's always been our big, like Ken indicated, our biggest prize is like you said, you'll have my cell phone number, his, you'll always be able to reach us. We don't go at, basically, that's our business model. We go after, we try to keep on the books at best 3 to 4 projects in any given time. Because the real reality is this, I don't care what owner stands in front of you, if you have more than 4 projects, they cannot give you the service I know I can. And that's just, that's our business model, and that's what
I'll
we
say something else. You know, I'm in pre-construction and estimating, and it showed on there my 20% of my time. But I live on the northwest side of Marion County. it's actually closer for me to come to the Williston site than it is for me to go to my office, which I probably rather do. is come to the site.
And y'all have worked pretty extensive with WWJ and Florida Concrete both?
Yeah, actually, another one that did Liberty Middle School and also CF was Quality Plumbing out of Rancho.
Yeah, we have. We've worked extensively with them. And to answer your question, Mr. Philpott, here's the reality. This is how we've always worked. Again, you can call any of these. This is the team we're proposing. This is our A team. If you look, I mean, every major K through 12 project, when I say major, we've done smaller, $8 million addition here. But when I say major, new school construction, you're looking at the guys that did every single one of them.
And my question to you was, if something comes up, we still gonna have an 18?
This is the
Oh,
team.
sir.
We've never
I mean,
pulled
we
anybody
can't
else.
stand before you in a clear conscience and say, this is our team, and then put somebody else out on the job. You should fire us on the spot if that's the case.
This is it. This is it right here.
Yeah, this is the team.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Put it that way.
I got a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
One of my concerns is that we are doing a lot of value engineering and that we are building the best school we can for the budget that will be allowed to us. I'm not interested in cutting costs, saving money. I'm interested in getting the top, best high school we can build for the budget we have. And so I know you're doing some value engineering, but I want to know how you're going to make sure that every phase of it is the absolute best project we
I'll
get.
give you a great example. I know Dr. Harvey, I know you were on the board of CF, but like when we did the LeCanto campus. I mean, an example of where we picked up some of those dollars that had nothing to do with your major HVAC systems and components. It was more architecturally pleasing and different things. And what we worked with the architect on that one is we found like the reveals that are, I'm sure you've walked that building, but the reveals in there, we actually, with the work of our drywall contractor, Mike, what was that reveal that we did with the, when we changed out the
Changed.
size thickness? It was
Yeah, it
basically
just changed the design
aesthetics.
a little bit, and aesthetically, it still was very pleasing, but it saved a lot of money. Look, the question you're asking gets to what I call the value proposition. Because you want to save money, but you know that what you build, you have your upfront cost, but your cost of operating that facility over the long term are much higher than your actual upfront costs. So what decisions are you making now that are going to help you along the way? Is the quality of the HVAC system, the way things are designed, and that's what, by the way, about Paul's design that I love. You go over and look at Rimfire, we toured with the maintenance director. That facility's been up for 10 or 12 years now. And I kept asking him, are you having issues here? Where are you having issues? It was surprising. He had very little to say about issues. They were very pleased with the quality and with the way that the building was performing. So from a
We
value,
also toured Rimfire and, to make sure that that's what we want. But, and in the long run, what you're addressing, I want to know that we're not gonna have to dig up the floor to redo the cooling system.
right.
What kind of guarantees can you give this board that for maintenance of the building and of the facilities over the long run, it's gonna be there?
The guarantee that I can give you is, what you're asking, I really believe we delivered on every single project we've done over the last 12 years. I mean, when I talked about quality control, these are the folks right here that are out in the field. Are they sitting up in the job trailer with their feet kicked up in the air conditioner, just goofing around? Or are they out there with those subcontractors saying, have you double-checked that elevation? Have you double-checked this to make sure we're putting it in right? Because once it's in and the concrete goes down, there's no turning back.
What's the biggest challenge of that, where that location is of building that project on that location? And don't tell me anything about the gravesite. But
Go in there.
It's a pretty, I mean,
It's a very clean site. I really don't see.
Lime Rock?
anything whatsoever.
I mean, there's a little
We might
concern
find-
that there's a
we
bunch
might-
of lime rock out there. Apart from that, it's a very clean, straightforward site. It reminds me a lot of the Forest High School site. Reminds a lot of a bunch of the sites we've done. It's a very straightforward site. I don't have a lot of concerns about that
You
site.
don't feel any clay out there?
We'll know when those borings are done.
It's difficult for us to say that. Normally you find clay up on a hill, because all the good stuff has come down over the centuries, the good stuff has come down and settled on the bottom. So we don't think, because you don't usually find like this when you find clay. But until the borings come in, that's a difficult one to say. We probably will find boulders out there. Boulders can be taken care of.
When you close enough to Marion County, probably flint lock.
Yeah.
Could be.
Mr. Carter, you got?
Yes, I have just a couple there. Some of the local subs, you had a list up there. If I want to get involved with this, but I'm not already on that list.
Well,
We will advertise in the local papers, which would be, you know, the local ones, Gainesville papers, Ocala papers. We also are members of the American County Builders Exchange. We will put it there, so we will get all the coverage that we think. I will not, and the way I do in my estimating, when I have bids out, I want at least 3 subcontractors bidding on every single scope that I've got. I will, until I get, you know, a minimum of 3.
Right.
So I won't be told, you're not on the list and we've already.
no, we have a subcontractor.
It's not definitely not closed. These are just on.
I would say that there's not there's very few subs in this whole North Central Florida market that haven't gone through our pre-qualification process. If they haven't and they want to bid on this project, man, we would love to have them. Because the more coverage that we have, the better it is for everyone. Because that may be the sub that brings in the best price. And so we want to get them on the list if they're qualified. And the key is just, are they qualified?
Also to help answer that too, I mean, you know, what we could also do in the past and the time frame of this thing starting is there's also job fairs that, you know, we can end up, you know, being presented with and going to some of those and just solicit, you know, doing a solicitation for our local subs and making sure they know our website and get completely qualified. And again, they can call me, they can call Jim, Dan, as far as helping them walk through the system. Our doors are always open.
Appreciate it. And have y'all, obviously you worked with Mr. Stressing on figures, you know how hard he is and all he is.
He's not hard-headed at all, is he? Now, you know what, one of these,
I've worked with him as an owner's rep and as a contractor. Yes, I do
My
not.
question was, related in that, is that, you were talking about your value engineering and these things. Have you already been in discussion, say, with him on any of the things relative to this school?
we
Could
have,
be alternate.
well, we haven't, no, because there's not I mean, well, from touring Rimfire, I mean, there's some things that we jotted down. But because it's a modified prototype reuse, and because of the efficiency of what we saw over there, we'll be able to squeeze a few possibilities out, but it's a pretty efficient structure. I think that's why you chose it. It's a pretty efficient structure as it's designed right now.
And I was just kidding about Mr. Stressing.
Well,
No, you weren't. No.
Thank you for answering that.
Like one thing you saw, I'm sure, is that, like, I don't know what that thing was, the fire thing in the front. I guess we could probably enter that, we'll be in the back.
You did say that, and this is a very efficient structure, and I do believe that, but you know, with buildings, there's going to be change orders. What's your percent or your, that you charge for change orders?
Really, we actually, the way we've always gone in and approached every school, CF and all is, up front, we go through it with our subcontractors and things, and then we kind of feel, and based on this being a prototype, we go in with a contingency value. And, you know, it's been, you know, maybe even 1% of the project that whatever we kind of determine as a complete team, maintenance department, Paul, you know,
your
ourselves,
people.
subcontractors that we're getting, you know, ideas from before bidding it. And then we, you know, so we've really not had any change orders on any jobs we've ever had. I mean, there's.
Never had change orders?
No, because what you do with if we're doing our homework on the front end, we're scrubbing this thing. We're sitting down with the subs going, and what we do is they bid, we put a bid package together that outlines in detail every single thing they're responsible for. Then they give us numbers. We don't just take it for granted. Then we sit down with them with checklists from every item in that bid package and say, do you have this included? Yes. Do you have this included? Yes. And we do an extensive, and then at the end of that session, they sign the bottom of that form, yes, I have all this included. So there's none of this, I didn't know I was supposed to do that business. And then on a project of this scope, you're gonna have a contingency that's in there. Say it's 1%. If there's something that comes up that none of us could have
Like your
anticipated.
your science teacher, you get a new science teacher, the program changes and you need another well for ag or, you know, something of that nature comes up, that's what that contingency dollar's for. It's for you guys, really. It's not,
It's not for us, if
It's not
subs
for
go,
us.
oops, we didn't know, that's our problem.
that's our
not your
problem, that's
problem.
our sub's problem.
And then contingency, we have returned contingency dollars on every single project we've done. You never use all that contingency. A lot of
The
times,
last project we did, and I'm gonna brag a little bit, the last project we did in Marion County, which was Legacy Elementary, we gave them back $600,000.
you contingency, it was unused.
General conditions,
That's
unused.
great. Tell me, what is your
Was
percent of
that
your
was
profit
not
margin?
special project money, though.
That was not special project, I mean, that's.
Okay, see, my point is on special project money, that money doesn't come back to us. That
No,
goes
no,
back
that's,
to the state.
yeah, and that's where,
right.
And so I would.
you wanna make sure that it's utilized for the best possible, and
I can
absolutely.
find the way that you need
Yes.
to use that
Yeah, yeah,
money
yeah.
before you send
Yes,
it back to the
absolutely.
state.
No, we're here to work with you as a team. We don't want
Sure.
it to go back to Tallahassee to be used at,
If you,
down in Palm County.
yeah, if you have some issues, some more things you want to do in your ag building, boom, there's some opportunities to do some things, so.
Can you tell me your percent of your profit margin on this bid?
I don't think we're allowed to do that
No,
You're not?
by
Okay.
state law, no.
Okay.
And that's what, once you select somebody, you sit down and you negotiate that. And if you don't like what you're hearing from us, you can just kick us to the side and go to the next guy. So, but we feel like the way we've operated, that's never happened to us, and we've always been able to go to contract and really have a great project.
I mean, actually, Bob should know, because I had to deal with Dr. Harvey.
That's good.
Him and Tommy Morlock.
And I have spoken to Dr. Harvey and Vernon, and they're good people.
They are.
I've been down there many times.
What is your experience with special facility funding? Do you have any experience with that?
Well, just as far, like we were saying, the Crystal River project was federally funded, which is basically special facilities construction, because it's based out over the years. With that one, it was, we had some fun with it. I say that sarcastically because it was federal money, but yes, we did have experience in how that works as far as you can only pay us as good as you get the money in. We understand that.
And, you know, and then we had to deal with Davis-Bacon Acts, or, you know, wagering and things of that nature. Certain fundings are set up different ways. We've dealt with all of those aspects over the years that we feel very comfortable. We have systems in place to help monitor that and make everybody feel at ease.
3 minutes.
Cameron?
Y'all alluded to warranties, but can you tell me about the warranty period and your involvement with that and how that's going to work out? And how that benefits us?
Yeah, and here's how it benefits you. This is our place. This is where we are. I mean, it didn't take us very long to drive from our office to here this morning. You know, it wasn't that long a drive. We take this very personally. I'm second generation. My dad graduated from University of Florida in the 1950s and got directly into commercial construction. It's what we know, it's who we are. I drive around this community and his grandkids, we say, yeah, that's a facility we constructed. It's personal for us. So you're gonna be interacting with all of us. You're not just gonna have the name of the person in the warranty department. We are the warranty department. Todd and I as owners of the warranty department. You will call us, we will personally involve ourselves in what's going on. And look, you can call any of our clients and ask them, warranty periods run out, then you find out the character of the people you hired. If 2 years later you call us and we still show up and say, all right, what can we do to help? How can we make this work for everybody?
Please feel free to call us.
Yeah, and that's how we operate, it's how we've always operated. So yeah, there'll be a 1-year warranty period, but we would hope and expect 3 years down the line, if there was something that popped up, you would be the first, you would call us first, so we could come and together help you figure out what we need to do. And that's just how we've always operated, and I think you'd find that if you call those references.
Okay.
You have another question?
No, they answered.
Mr. Tibbs, you got any questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, I apologize, you guys have been looking at my backside the whole time.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank you all
much.
very
We
much.
appreciate your time. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir, thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
There's an outlet over here, and you need to be closer.
I have an extension cord.
There's one in front of the screen as well.
Pass these out.
List of our team, you'll be here today. You're all welcome. How are you?
Thank you.
Before we get started, I'd like to remind you of the ground rules one more time. You have 30 minutes for your presentation, and then we have 15 minutes for questions. Ms. Pam's going to be the timekeeper. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
We're ready, John, if you're ready. Can I have one of those crickets?
Bob, you can do that one. I swear.
There's one in front of you right there.
Go to the one in front.
Yeah. Take one up there. Good to go? Sure.
Okay, can you turn the screen?
Sure.
Get it focused and set up there once it comes up. Can you roll it down in front just a little bit? Good. Has it? Come back just a little bit, make the image a little bit larger. Yeah, come back just a little bit. There you go. All right. Excuse our delay. Mr. Chair, members of the board, Representative Hastings, good morning. I'm John Carlson, CEO of Charles Perry Partners Incorporated. We're honored and grateful to be here today to talk to you about our approach to providing construction services on the Williston Middle High School. A very high-profile, important project here in Williston and Lincoln County. Let's touch on this very briefly. A couple of weeks ago, we had our 46th birthday. The company built on a culture of stewardship and advocacy. That's how we do our business every day. A very strong company financially. $400 million bonding capacity, $100 million single project. Strong retained earnings, never used our line of credit for decades, never been used, and a very good Dun & Bradstreet rating financially. So we're capable in all ways to perform this project. There is the outline for our presentation today. We'll introduce our team, talk about pre-construction and construction phase services, and schedule and funding issues. Before we do that, let me remind some of you about our profile as it relates to educational construction. We build schools. To be very blunt about it. Some of those numbers, over 400 million of K-12 construction in Florida, 4 million square feet, 31 projects in the last 5 years. 80% of our work is in educational construction, and we work in 18 school districts in Florida and one in Georgia. There's the list. Don't expect you to read all that, but the point is, in 20 years, we've done 67 K-12 projects. Those break down like this: 22 high school projects, 31 elementaries, 14 middles. Of that list, 59 of those projects involved new construction, either new greenfield schools, like Williston Middle High School, or projects that involved additions or new buildings on an existing campus. So our profile is exactly what we're talking about here today, performed it many times. Those are the counties, those are the districts where CPPI has been active in Florida. I think all but 2 of those districts, we've had multiple engagements. Repeat customers for our business is about 80%. Okay, just a quick note about our relationship with Paul Stressing and Associates. Paul and I have been friends for many years, long-term working relationship, and we've done a couple things with him. Probably the most relevant is that project on the left, Taylor Wadsworth. This is a bridge building, elementary school existing, middle school existing. Built this building, about $25 million building in between, to make it a K-8 school. So added enrollment and brought it all together. This is in Palm Coast in Flagler County. And the other projects are classroom additions we've done with Paul in Marion County. Okay, the org chart is there. The focus is the top logo, working with School Board of Levy County. The blue boxes are the core team. Those are the feet on the ground people, the daily interaction with you. The burgundy boxes are the support team around them. With that, we're going to introduce our team.
Thank you, John. I'm Glenn Mullins. I'll be the project executive on the Williston Middle School High School. My role is to ensure that all the resources that CPPI needs to have in place are there so that the goals and objectives that we set as a team will be met.
Morning, I'm Kurt Tobble. My role in the project would be to oversee and coordinate all the pre-construction activities as well as all the construction itself in the project and be your single point of contact from the beginning to the end of the project.
Good morning, my name is Dale Wicker, I'll be the project superintendent. I have 16 years experience, 11 here with Charles Perry. I've built recently 2 high schools, the same as this one we're looking at today.
Good morning, my name is Carson Stefanelli. I'll be in charge of submittal review, material procurement, all documentation and change management throughout the project.
And good morning, I'm Lee Hall. I'll be your mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection coordinator. It'll be my job to ensure that everything gets installed properly with the right clearances. I'll be involved with the project from the very beginning all the way through the end.
Good morning, my name is Glenn Beck. I'm General Superintendent and Safety Director for the company. My role in this project right here will be to ensure that the project schedule, the safety, and the quality control of the project is met, and to assist the field team, the boots on the ground, if you will, in any aspect needed.
All right, we're going to start with the pre-construction process where we finish through the design phase. And Kirk, take us through some of the things that you'll be doing as we go through pre-con.
All right, we start off pre-construction process with a kickoff meeting, get everybody involved in the team, the architect, the engineers, school board representative, the construction team, kind of look at where we're at with the documents today, what our timeline is for moving forward, when we're going to have deliverables turned over, documents completed, when we're going to get to permitting and eventually down to construction, and end up with an estimate that becomes kind of the baseline estimate that we'll follow for the project. Getting to that estimate, we're going to rely on the database we've got of previous school construction history of the pricing, update it with input from subcontractors and local community, so we have a complete estimate to go by. Some of the factors in the pricing of the school, we know is going to be the labor availability. There's a lot of work now starting to break loose as the economy improves. That's eating up some manpower, so we're going to be selective in what trades and what capabilities they have put on the project. We know the entire building is a hardened, basically a hurricane-proof structure, so that's going to cost a little bit more, but it's going to give you the facility that you're looking to get. Along with that, we're going to have a large emergency generating power system for the electricity that has to go along with that. We've got some soil conditions we'll deal with as well. Offsetting that, though, we've got a nice, simple plan that's in place, efficient plan. We understand it's going to utilize water source heat pumps, which I think is a good choice to remain with that. That provides for minimal outside equipment. You'll have a cooling tower, which has to be, surrounded by some walls to strengthen that, but you won't have a whole lot of little condensing units on a DX system that you would on some conventional construction. So that's going to work to help the cost. Value engineering, we will look through all aspects of the project, during pre-construction, look at architectural features, mechanical, systems, electrical. What can we suggest to help keep costs down and still provide a quality building? Along with that, we know the outside of the building is going to be very important, so we've got some different types of bricks, some different types listed here. We'll look at the assemblies and the cost of those and see what we can work out to come up with a good aesthetic looking building at cost efficiency also.
One of the things that we do is a little bit unique is a constructability review. And every stage as the drawings are progressing, we're going to look closely at those drawings. We have a checklist that is based on our lessons learned from past projects to make sure that all the information is coordinated properly, it's in the documents, so we don't have any surprises as we move forward into construction. Another thing that's a little bit unique that we do is a building envelope review. We take the time to really study those details, where all those different materials come together, and make sure that we've got the right information on the drawing. You can see some of those red notes that we've marked up on the drawing where we're identifying critical locations where they come together. Make sure we've got the right things so you can have a watertight building for years to come. The other thing that we know is important is that we get the quality that you're looking for at the price that you need. There's things we need to consider here with the skin and the HVAC systems, making sure you're getting the standards that you expect in your buildings. And we know that technology is important. With the other schools that we built, we can bring those resources to the table. We can talk about the different things that are out there and be sure that you get the right value for what you need here. And then finally, we've got the experience in working with different types of classrooms, from ESE to VOTEC, so we bring that knowledge with our team as we go through construction. The other thing that we think is important is we focus on sustainable construction when we build buildings. We're not interested in things that cost money on the front end, but things that build value for the long term of the building. We understand the efficiency that you've achieved in the past, and we're anxious to make sure that we stay on that level with the efficiency on this building. The other thing, you've asked for this to be a hardened facility, so that you have a shelter in the event of an emergency here in the county that will take care of things. We've built a number of EHPA hardened buildings. We know the different components that are important. We know how they go together, and we're going to bring that knowledge here to the table. Let's talk about how we're going to be sure we get local participation.
All right, further in our pre-construction process, we want to involve as much as we can Levy County and surrounding area subcontractors. Like Don said, we've been here for 46 years. We've got a huge database of the contractors in the area. We'll have meet and greets, invite participation from those people into the project, structure bid packages to accommodate some of those people who need the work. And then the successful subcontractors that do get contracts for the job, we'll try to marry them up and get some local skilled and unskilled people that need work and marry those up with successful subcontractors who need people to help them do their tasks. We'll go through a pre-qualification process with anybody bidding the job to make sure they're capable, they've got the manpower, the resources available to do the job, make sure we have the right ones to build the project.
As you can see here, we've already canvassed the local market in and around Levy County. We've provided a brief synopsis of how those companies break down, and we will do everything we can to include as many of those firms as possible in our project team.
All right, now we're going to kind of move into the construction phase of how we actually build buildings. We're going to go through some of those processes. So Kurt, let's start with project management.
All right, we've got a project management software which is web-based, which is great these days. Everything's going electronic, and we can access that anywhere from the job site, an office trailer, the home office, and have all the documents there. We'll set up a project-specific website, FTP site, if you will, that we can collaborate with the design team, with all the partners in the project. We can have our request for information out there, the submittal data, all the documents available where anybody can look at them at any time and keep pace with the project. iPads and tablets, we're starting to use that more and more successfully in the job. And it really helps out the superintendents. We load those things up with all the plans, the specifications, certain submittals, and they don't have to run back into the trailer to go, flip through pages of the plans. They open up in the iPad, information is right there available. So that's a great tool for everybody.
Yeah, let's talk about how you achieve quality on your project.
One of the most important aspects of quality is a mock-up wall. If you notice up here in the top right corner, we're going to work directly with the design team and build this mock-up right off the drawings and specs. And what we'll show is how the blockworks can go, how we're going to harden the facility, the waterproofing, the insulation, the brickwork. And what that allows us to do with the design team is to cut off any issues that might arise when the construction process gets started.
Lee, what's one of the things that's important to you when we're working through the MEP systems?
So if I spoke of the coordination aspect, this is the part early in construction where I'll sit down with Dale, the design team, Ted Alexander and his staff, and the subcontractors, and we'll put detailed elevations and routing on all the systems that are going to be in the building. All the HVAC, electrical, IT infrastructure, all that stuff will get identified. We'll be able to accomplish that by using building information modeling, which we call BIM. It's a 3D representation of your building with all the detailed components inside that you can spin around, walk through, look, so we can ensure that we get those elevations and routing correct. And at the end of the project, we'll turn that over to the school board and maintenance staff for their future use to be able to reference back.
How do we keep everybody in the loop, Kurt?
All right, communication is the key. We've got to communicate not only with the myriad of subcontractors that are out there, we'll do that through weekly job site coordination and progress meetings, daily discussions that they will have with them, but also communicate with you all. We can provide progress reports, either bound, electronically, give you site tours if you want. But communication between not only the subs, but the owners and all the architects as well is going to be key. The permitting inspections, well familiar with that. The board should have a independent inspector. It's going to be out on the job site. We'll be coordinating daily with him. Threshold inspection is going to be a big deal here. We'll coordinate the architect to develop a threshold inspection plan, which is needed for the hardened building. Since the entire facility is hardened, it'll have to look at all the structure for all the buildings from the foundations up through the roof. We've got a couple of unique inspections that we'll need to deal with too. 2 road connections, they're Department of Transportation road tie-ins, so we'll have to be involved in getting the permit and then coordinating the inspections to make those connections to those roads.
How do we keep the safe job site?
These are just some of the highlighted safety bullets that we've got here. There'll be many involved in this project. One of the keys right here is going to be our crane operations. We know that it's a multi-phase project. There's going to be a crane moving around and about throughout the entire site. And we all know there's a lot of foot traffic involved. But we're going to make sure that we have the proper crane out there. Our company has went out and we have done research, and what we've learned in that is a crane from 2006 on has the best technology possible for safety features as far as all the bells and whistles, the electronics of the crane system. We all know the operator is a real big key in this, so we're going to make sure that we have his qualifications and certifications in hand and review that before he steps on site. The riggers as well, we'll get all their certifications. The crane itself will need to be certified, so we'll make sure that we have all this documentation in place prior to getting this activity started. One of the checks and balances that I will do with this is when I'll make an unannounced site safety inspection. We all know that accountability is huge, and that's one of the ways and methods that I use to enforce that.
You're going to be using Jessica Lunford on this site, Glenn. Why don't you talk a little about that?
Yes, we understand and know that Jessica Lumford's not required on this. It is a standalone, but we fully intend to implement and enforce the Jessica Lumford Act on this project from start to finish.
I'm going to show you these 2 images here. I think they're important. This image on the bottom is actually Williston Elementary School. This is the site where we'll be building the middle school, high school. The image at the top is a project we did in Volusia County where they had an existing elementary school right across the street that had to continue to function while we built this middle school. A lot of similarities to what we're going to see here, that coordination of traffic, coordination of manpower back and forth. We've done that before, and we're anxious to do that here in high school, middle school. I want to touch on these just briefly. What's really important here is that our IIR rates and workers' comp modifiers are lower than the national average. What that means to you is we get lower pricing for that, and we can pass that pricing on back to the district and lower cost for insurance. That's saving money for the district. Now let's talk about leave when we get to that closeout. What's so critical?
So again, I want to relate back to the maintenance staff. Keeping those guys engaged, getting them engaged early and keeping them involved throughout the process is going to be key to them having an understanding and knowing the ins and outs of the building they're going to have to take over and maintain. We'll do that with extensive owner training. We can customize it to what they need. They may need a little more training on some things, a little less on the others. Being able to be flexible and make sure those guys are really up to speed on the equipment and stuff they're fixing to take over. From a commissioning aspect, we do our own in-house commissioning. So I'll create checklists, functional checklists for every piece of equipment. We'll go through with the control vendors and HVAC contractor and ensure that all that equipment is working properly and as designed.
Because of all the stuff we do, all the things we make sure it's right, it gives us the ability to offer a 2-year warranty rather than the normal 1-year contractor's warranty. So we're going to extend a 2-year warranty here because we make sure those things are right when we leave the job site and they're ready to go for you to use. Now let's talk, Kurt, a little bit about things we do when we're working in the community.
All right, if the desire is to involve the community in this job, which we think it is, we can accomplish that in several ways. We have town hall meetings, kind of give an update, to the public on where the project is. We'll have the job-specific website we're going to set up anyway for management of the job, but with that, we can put a link to a webcam. Everybody can sit at home anywhere they're at, click that on and watch the activities, live, going on the job site, or photographic history of what's happening. Also, being part of a good neighbor, we want to keep the place clean. We're going to keep the site clean. That helps out in safety, helps out in appearance, and then as our traffic comes in and out, you'll see later on here, we're going to keep the dust down and the streets clean.
The other thing we like to do is engage with the students and staff that are going to be occupying the school. In some of these images, you see us taking students on a walkthrough of a building under construction. This image at the top is actually we were teaching 4th graders about math and science and how we use that in construction and how it applies to the school that we're building for them. But those are things that we enjoy doing when we go through a project, as well as we think it's important to carry the legacy over from one school to the next. This image was from a basketball court on a building that we renovated. We took out the old basketball court center, saved it, built it into the lobby of the new gym. So we made that connection from old school to new school, and that legacy lived on. And we think it's important to do that. We're going to try to look for some things here as well that we could do that on. One other thing we'd like to offer to you is an apprenticeship program that's called the Academy of Construction Technology. This is an opportunity for high school seniors that might be interested in construction trades to get involved as apprenticeships on our project. It's worked very well in the skilled trades, mechanical, electrical, sheet metal, plumbing. We've done that before in Central Florida, and we'd like to offer that here if it makes sense for the students in Levy County.
We'll talk a bit about schedule. The key to a successful project is a good schedule. What you see here is just a milestone schedule of basic activities, but we would expand this if we're successful in the job and basically have activities for everything that goes on in the project, know what the critical path is, and use that as a tool day to day to monitor and coordinate the work that goes on. Up at the top, you see here a little pre-construction block. That shows the 100% construction documents. We're anticipating completion of those by September 1st. There will be a Department of Education review of those documents. At the same time, we'll be doing our subcontract bidding period, coming for the GMP and mobilizing, and breaking ground January 1st of 2015. These are some of the milestones we've got incorporated into the project. One thing to take note on, the building drying key activity, and also down at the bottom, FF&E start, which is fixtures, furnishing, and equipment. We're going to sequence this project where we've got 2 sequences of construction going on at the same time. The early sequences of both of those will be ready before the balance of the project is, so we can get you into those buildings earlier. Cafeteria, some of the classrooms, admin area, get you moved into there while we're wrapping up the other tail ends of the project.
I'm going to talk about cash flow now. There's a cash flow analysis we built for this project. It runs 18 months. As you can see, that line increases and increases. The yellow box there is what we want to talk about. In December of 2015, the appropriated funds are expended, and over a period of 7 months, it builds from about $900,000 to about $9.7 million of shortfall. we have explored and want to present some options to you on how to cover that. 3 options. One, we talked to a national developer called Signet Development, based in Jacksonville in Ohio. They have a financing stream in-house. They can come in and finance this project. The terms of that could be a public-private partnership type thing. They've done it in the past with state government through DOT. This would be the first DOE project. The second option is the national bank we've talked to be specific, BBVA, Compass Bank. We've met with them, they're willing to finance this project. The third option is yet another bank, and probably our preferred option, and we met with them, Drummond Community Bank and M&S Bank in Gainesville in a partnership. Bankers call that participation, that the 2 banks would combine and provide this gap financing to either the school board of Levy County, or I think your preference would be the CPPI would be the borrower in this case, and we're prepared to do that and make this work for you from a seamless funding standpoint to just go around to the school, pay off that loan when the final appropriation comes.
All right, at this point, we want to take you through a series of images to show you how we will actually build the building on this site. Across the bottom, you're going to see a timeline, so you can kind of see time in advance as we work through the process of construction. Just quickly to orient you here, here's Williston Elementary School. This is the site where we're going to build the middle school, high school. The north is down towards the bottom here. So Dale, let's get started with how you set up.
Day 1 of the process, January 1, 2015, we'll have the construction fence in place at this point. We'll also have our gate up here. This is where we're going to bring in all our traffic, all our subs, materials, concrete trucks off of US 41, because we're going to avoid the activities that's going on at Williston Elementary School. Also at this point, we're looking at all the utilities. We have electrical, water, fiber, everything right there along 30th here to feed the campus. Important thing here is sanitary. We're going to be installing a lift station there, and we're going to have to run that line up just across the street on the opposite side of Main from the elementary school and make that tie-in. And we're going to do that tie-in during the summer vacation. We'll schedule that. So again, we do not interfere with the elementary school. We also know that there's a 10-inch well there, and we're going to be using that for temporary water. As you can see here, about a couple of weeks in, we're going to have our trailer in place, the CPPI trailer, our laydown area, access into the site, and our parking area for subcontractors. From here, we have the building pad is in place. We've done all our soil testings, and we are ready for foundation work at this point. At this time, this is what Kurt talked about earlier. We're going to bring in multiple crews from the subcontractors in order to run basically two schedules at the same time. Here, you'll see we're starting to get foundations in on the high school area. Slab work is going in. We're working with the inspectors, getting all the underground work done, make sure that that's all up to code as we move forward. At this point, we have the low-tech area going in. We have the high school slab area going in, and the block is going up. The threshold inspector will be out every day at this point to make sure that we're meeting code as far as the hardening of the structures go. Here we have the steel going in at this point.
As you see here too, the crane is now hit because we're getting the roof systems in place here. So as we touched on in our safety slide right there, that's going to be very critical that for the crane installation, that there absolutely be no folks working underneath and around that crane, and that everything be ribboned off and blocked off. No one in there except for the workers doing the installation of the steel systems.
At this stage, all the submittal, shop drawing review is paying dividends both in time and quality, as I have on the front end gone through and made sure that all the material and parts and pieces will be on time and will fit together as intended.
Also, you can see the walls are going up on the low-tech area, and we have the gymnasium starting up here. Again, using that multiple crew aspect. As you can see, we're going along. We're finishing up the steel here. The crane is fixing to move over because we have the pad down in the gym and the middle school foundations have started. At this point, we're starting to get the roofs on the buildings and starting to dry these areas in. You see the walls coming up on the gym. And this is all about 8.5 months into the project.
Now we're 9 months into the project, and as you can see, we've done a huge amount of quality control up to get us up to this point, but we're really reaching some critical stages about the project now. We're putting on finished roof systems, finished brick and flashing systems or window installations that are going in. And there'll be an extensive amount of QC and water testing and things going on to meet our quality control standards. And Dale's probably one of our very best within the company. He takes our company quality control program and he works it as if he's building his home, his house.
At this point, the drying process was well underway, and we're starting to do a lot of activity inside the buildings, bringing in the kitchen equipment and stuff like that, and doing a lot of interior work. At this point, we're at November 24th.
Buildings are dried in, we're really ready to move into that interior work and start seeing some things in there.
Yeah, as Dale was speaking about the interior work, this is where all the upfront coordination comes into play as the systems start to get installed at the mezzanine levels, all the mechanical, all the piping, all the IT infrastructure. So we're starting to pay off, and with the way these mezzanines are laid out, it's easily accessed by the maintenance people that can go in and do routine maintenance and not interrupt classroom activities.
And once all that equipment that Lee just mentioned is in place and in the mezzanine level, now we can bring those walls up in the mezzanine area and start closing those things up.
We get into about month 14 and a half, we're reaching the finish line now. We've got all kinds of activities going on in the building. We're punching out areas, we're touching up paint, we're doing final cleaning. We're assisting you in the setup of FF&E in the early buildings. Now we've got the site graded out, walkways, walkway covers, parking in, and it's a completed facility. Next slide is just kind of an overview of the entire site showing a completed facility. We've outlined the athletic fields, which we understand are planned for the future.
At this point, we're in the fall of 2016. The school is complete. We're ready for students and staff and a facility that's going to be a wonderful place for students to learn and grow for years to come here in Levy County.
Okay, CPPI Advantage, what we call this the value proposition. I'm only going to touch on two things. K-12 expertise brings, along with the relationship with Paul Stressing and our culture of engagement, stewardship, and advocacy, a true state-of-the-art school to Levy County. We've seen it all with Paul's help and everything he's done in K-12. We'll bring you the best school we can to the dollar. Finally, I would like to say this is a single company relationship. All of the resources necessary to deliver this project, from pre-construction, construction, post-occupancy, 2-year warranty, all that stuff is in-house, including in-house commission and a 3D BIM model that you get at the end of the day. That is the advantage that CPPI brings. This is the close of our formal presentation. We'd like to open it up for questions now. And with your permission, I'd like to have a few seconds for a closing comment at the end. Thank you very much.
I got a couple questions for you, sir. Just, can you give me an idea of now, I've seen you do a lot of work for university. So what happens to our project if university comes up with an $85 million project, we got a little $35 million? What happens to our project at that time?
This is a high priority project. We have two projects working at the university for right now. To be up front. I don't think we're going to get any more. You know, this is a team dedicated to this project, available to work on this project.
These fellows here, the ones gonna be running our project?
Yes, sir.
They'll be here to the end, is that correct?
That's correct. Not an issue.
This book that you gave us, and I've been looking at it, all these projects seem to come in on time and on budget. Every one of them. You ever had one that didn't come in on time or over budget?
We have never delivered a school late, ever. We have never exceeded our client's budget on any project, including K-12. It is the reason we had our 46th birthday. We've happy clients, Mr. Philpott. As I said earlier, we have over 80% repeat business profile in all of our customer base. That's a good thing, that's a bad thing. It's a good thing because we can depend on going back again. We need to diversify our client base as well, and that's why this opportunity to Levy County is so important.
And do you still use WWK as a mechanical contractor when you can?
Probably 40 or 50% of the time, WWK ends up being the low bid in our procurement of mechanical plumbing systems, yes. Long-term relationship. Chuck Perry, personally, and Bill Gay, We're very close friends from when Chuck opened the business in 1968. And the relationship has been as strong as can be ever since.
Thank you, sir.
You mentioned extensive use of local subs. I presume you have a list, you know, of the ones that, suppose I am interested, but I'm not on that list. How can I go about having a legitimate opportunity to get that deal?
Part of the things that Kurt mentioned is we're going to be doing town hall meetings and workshops to get the word out into the community that if we don't already know about them, we want them to come meet us and tell us what their capabilities are. You know, are they a subcontractor? Are they a labor supplier? Are they a material supplier? We want to give them an opportunity to get into that process. And we've got a pretty extensive database now. Carson's already done some legwork, and Kurt, you know, identifying people that we know about already. But if there's more, we want to find them.
Okay, and you mentioned y'all were offering a 2-year instead of 1 year. How does that factor in with your subcontractor's work and their warranties?
They'll be a part of that process as well.
So there'll be a 2-year warranty?
That's correct. That's correct.
And that's what you will mandate upon them?
Well, because of the way we do work, I mean, it's usually not a problem for them, because they know how we finish buildings and how we ensure things are done right. You know, it's not a burden for them either, because they know we're going to do it right when we go through it.
And we've done that several times.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Brooks?
I think it was a thorough presentation. My questions have been answered on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks. Ms. Cowell?
What's your experience with special facility funding? Besides the option that you saw, have you had any experience with that?
The probably goes back to the 90s. Bell High School, Old Town Elementary School, Trenton Elementary School, were all special facility projects. I have been involved with Department of Education for most of my career. I spent 16 years as Director of Facilities at the University of Florida and worked on many projects that had multiple year funding. Some have been 3 years as well. There's always a way to make that work. I think we have 3 options on the table, one very good one for that with a local participant in the funding of this gap, which we'll take care of in a way that will be seamless to you.
Mr. Adams? Thank you, Mr. Cowell.
I noticed in y'all's discussion, it did not come across to me that at any point y'all said, we're going to be able to return $1 million to you or any of that. The point I'm getting to is, we don't want a cheap school. We're at $35, $37 million. We want a $35, $37 million school. Then are y'all committed to that also?
Absolutely. And we think that's important. The money for the school needs to go into the school. That's why we're going to be bringing those things to you and saying, here's options. This is more expensive, this is less expensive. Which one makes the most sense? And make good decisions based on the budget available for the value that you want to get out of your school. Not just, how do we save dollars and give you money back? You want that money to go into the school. That way you get the benefits of it.
Okay. Y'all's presentation answered a lot of questions that I would have and dealt with a lot of things. I will commend you that I really do like that 2-year warranty. I like the fact that y'all imply that 18 months from when we get done, air conditioner goes out, we call you.
Give us a call. Give us a call. We'll stand behind you.
I like that.
Mr. Adams, I'm going to tell you a story. When you use CPPI, you bias for the long term. We stand by our work, regardless of the 2-year warranty. I'll give you an example that I think is amazing. We built a parking garage at the University of Florida in around 1981. In 1996, some of the spandrel panels were spalling some concrete. We went in, jacked up those, repaired them, put them back in place, never charged them. I mean, that's, you know, we don't own a building forever, but our reputation, if anything, is that we're going to stand by our work and the quality of work we're trying to do.
One one thing I like to say is, I don't have to talk to WWK, I want y'all to know that. But, we have a lot of people in our county, live in our county, work for WWK, that's the reason why I was asking the question about WWK. Thank you.
I'm only allowed one question, but it has 4 parts to it. One is, you said that you weren't going to break ground until January 15th. And so what happens if, everything's approved June 30th of this year, 14th? Do we just sit on our hands till 15th?
That's a good question. No, sir, you don't need to. We set that date based on when we had to be done to move into the facility. If there was an opportunity to get things going earlier, if the DOE reviews went well, if Paul and his consultants moved through the process faster and the project got funded, we would welcome the opportunity to get started on the project.
Okay. Secondly, this is a reuse plan, and we toured Rimfire, and y'all said on page 43, section 6, item 4, that you had worked with previously with Paul Stressing on a design in Flagler County. Were you referring to the Rimfire School? And if you were, I know that Barton Auto was the contractor. What was your association in that, if you were referring?
We were not involved in that. It was the Buddy Taylor Wadsworth project that we did in Flagler County. So we were not involved in the Rimfire. We know about it, we've seen it, but we were not involved.
Okay, that answered that
I
question.
think that's more of a pure prototype. Our buddy Taylor Wadsworth project, as Paul did, I think has striking similarities in floor plan. Does not have a mezzanine. It was a 2-story tilt wall project. There were a lot of differences. But no, we did not do Rimfire.
Okay, that cleared that up for me. In looking at this, I'm assuming y'all have been out to the site and looked at the site, and you have it laid out. What would you think would be the most challenging aspect of building this school on that site? And how will you deal with that challenging aspect? And if you saw no challenges there, then I question your honesty too. So, what was your challenge?
Let's talk about one of the challenges that we learned a little bit about, the potential for what we call subsoil conditions. There may be some limestone, maybe some boulders there that nobody knows about until we start digging the dirt. Now, there's going to be soil borings, and that'll give us some indication of what's going on, but those type conditions are going to be a challenge when they come up, so we're going to anticipate that. We know it might be there, we're going to plan for it, when it does come up, we're going to react to it.
How do you like the forest down at the front and also the lake Superior in the back?
The forest in the front looks like it drains off pretty hard down there, and that's a low spot. But, based on the layout we've currently seen, I mean, that ends up maybe in the future athletic facilities when that goes in there. I haven't been to the lake in the back. I don't know if y'all saw that when y'all were out there.
No, I didn't get out that far.
Yeah, we didn't go that far back, but I saw it on the aerial, but there's some low areas back there that looks like it's wet and dry.
Lake, but it's about 20, 30 feet deep.
Yeah, it looks like it's wet and dry at times, and maybe the ground level, the water table comes up now.
Okay, but I like that area down front because it blocks the condominiums that are across the road. This is part D of the one question I have. Carson, who's your daddy?
Randy.
That's what I was afraid of. No, I had worked with Randy, and I was 90% sure you were his son.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why he let you graduate from Bugle, so when he earns all his money to leave you Kansas.
Oh, no, I went to Newberry, actually. But
That might be just as bad.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm through, sir.
Mr. Ted?
The superintendent asked the question that I had about the January start time. If we're funded in July 1, we'd like to see ground broke in July.
Only other question I'm sorry, Mr. Ted,
That's all.
only other question I have for you is, this money deal's not guaranteed. Mr. Edison thinks it is, Mr. Hastings, but I don't, I'm sorry. I guess I'm testing you. But if you get our bid, would you be willing to help Robbie's legislature for us to get this money to build a school? I mean, I know you would, but
Well,
I
you
just
take
think
it on because you got experience
My
with
pleasure.
that.
I have a personal relationship with the delegation and areas around here. I'm in a role in Gainesville, community service role. I'm the chairman of the Council of Economic Outreach for this region. That's the economic development entity. Next year, I'll be chairman of the board for Chamber. In that role, I get to see and talk to a lot of people, including the governor. And I will do everything, anything I can. In fact, I was just in Tallahassee 2 weeks ago on a little lobbying visit tour regarding economic development for our region. So, yes, sir, Mr. Philpott, we'll do everything we can.
Thank you, Chairman.
And there's one thing I learned about the legislature in my career: you can't predict anything.
John, we're back to, so if you want to make your closing
Okay.
statement.
Give me the last slide there. We hit on these same things again. Stewardship, watching your dollars like they're our own, the advocacy, working in your behalf. Your best interests are where our focus is every day. And the trust that builds over the project. You don't trust us now because we haven't done any work for you. But you'll like the decision if you make it to pick us. I think those 3 logos there are the right for success for this project. And we'll be proud to be associated with you on this. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank all of you. All these back to order. Before we talk to Board of Gentlemen, I'd like to remind you one more time of the ground rule. You have 30 minutes for your presentation, and 15 minutes for questions after your presentation. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To you.
Well, good morning. On behalf of our team, I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity. We're all very excited to work with Lee County on the Williston Mill Line. Our team, is the first message we want to get across is that we really value safety on our projects. It's something that we try to instill in all the people we come in contact with, not just the workers on the site. We care about every single person we come in contact with going home at the end of the day the way they showed up. So we always start every gathering with a Gilbane Cares moment. This is no exception. So I just point out that there's an exit right there, and if there was an emergency, that everyone should, keep their head about them, put the seats up to let everyone else get to the exit. So that's our Gilbane Cares moment. To go through our agenda, we try to pattern it after your RFP criteria. So we're going to go through our proposed staff and function. We're going to really detail our knowledge of site and the local conditions. Then we're going to really detail and drill down on how we're going to approach our project. And then we're going to touch on our experiences and then try to give you some reasons why Gilbane Ulrich.
Thank you. I'm Robert Hayes, and I'm the North Florida Business Unit Leader for Gilbane. Ivan and I are very proud of the team we put together for you today, and Ivan wants to tell you a little bit more about our team.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Gilbane Ulrich, we've been working together through community partnerships. We've gotten to know each other. We find our companies have a lot in common. We share common values. Gilbane brings to the table, they're the largest school builder in the United States. They have
7 offices.
7 offices, 150 employees
in Florida.
In the state of Florida. You'll see today in the presentation they have lots of unique resources, technology, programs and stuff that come from being a big company that has lots of resources. And of course, Ulrich Construction, we're a local company. We're all the way from Newberry, and we live here, work here. This is we have great relationships in this area, and not to mention one of our guys lives in Williston, right down the road from the site. But we'll see that later. But we bring together and we come together as a team. I think we'll see today that we're going to present you a great team in this project.
Okay, to dive into our proposed staff and function, the next slide is our organizational chart for the project. My name is Jason Bird. I'll get into my credentials. We see Philip Norman as our senior project manager on the site. Brandon Tinkman will be the assistant project manager. Leslie Romey Dover is our general superintendent, and Matt Marino will be an assistant superintendent on the site. The reason I'm on the team is I have almost 20 years of experience in seeing at risk and even design build high school deliveries. So I'm used to managing that process. And at a high level, I will be making sure that our team is exceeding your expectations on this project.
Good morning, I'm Philip Norman. I'll be the senior project manager on the team. I've been with Gilbane for 19 years, been in construction over 30 years. Actually started in the field as a superintendent and worked my way up to project management. So I know how to build a school from the ground up. I know how to manage the cost and the schedule to get a project done on time. And I look forward to working with you to make this a successful project.
Good morning, my name is Brandon Tinkham. I will be assisting Philip in the office side of the things, of the work on this project. I grew up in this local area. I went to high school in Gainesville, graduated from the University of Florida. And for the last 12 years, I've been building major projects and have gathered some really strong personal relationships with a lot of our subcontractors.
Good morning, I'm Wesley Dover, actually Romney Dover. I've got 44 years experience in the field, and if you do the math, I guess that makes me the senior citizen of the group. But I love what I do. The last 15 years in the field of construction, I've been building these schools. Built with this team here, Jason, Philip and I've been together 18 years, Matt and I've worked on sites together. And, you know, you say team, I thrive on teams. Well, I'm twice the age of Matt here, you say, how does an old timer, a young man get along? We bond. Superintendents are a unique breed. You know, I bring lessons learned, School of Hard Knocks. He brings education, technology. So we bonded with that, and we work together. Looking forward to showing what we can do. You'll see the passion that we share in building the project.
That's right, Romy. Hi, everyone. My name's Matt Moreno. I'm a field superintendent with Forward Construction. I'm also the principal in the company. I've and I have worked together for 10 years and graduated from the University of Florida in 2004. And this project, in case you didn't know, I live in the city of Wilson. I live about a mile away from the project, as you can see right here. And this is a real personal project to me because I'm a graduate of Wilson High School, 2000, class of 2000. I'm a Red Devil. So I think there's nothing more, I guess, romantic to say, you know, someone to graduate from high school and then come back, you know, 15 years later and build a new one. I think it says a lot about leaving a legacy and being a part of that. And it's something I really, you know, passionate about, would love to be a part of. But at the same time, there's something that I bring to the team that I don't think anybody else can. Like I said, I'm from the town. I'm involved in the community, I'm involved in the city government. I know the people that will be affected by this project. I know the Kirby's over at Kirby Farm. I know the people at the Wilson Elementary School. I'm involved with people in these areas, and I think I can bring the knowledge and relationships and the know-how of how the city works and, you know, what we can do to get this project off the ground and make it a success.
Thank you. When the team joins together, we want to make sure that you understand the clear lines of communication. Robert and I have told you about how our teams come together and what each team brings to this relationship. Gilbane will be the prime contract. We will hold the bonds entirely on the project. I will be the main point of contact from the time the project's awarded until the time that you no longer need us. And we hope that day never comes because we want to continue to work with you for a long time.
Another slide we put together is just some recent experience from all of the team members that are in the room and the similarities across the top to Wilson and Middle High. As you can see, there's lots of check marks that we got that we've got lots of experience. But something that's not really on that slide is that this team, no other team that's presenting you today has worked together successfully for 18 years as a team, almost continuously. And that's something that we think is a real value to Levy County, that there's no learning curve for this team.
I want to talk about the knowledge of the site and local conditions.
I want to talk about what this project means to Levy County and to the city of Wilson. This is a major project for the county and for the city, and we know that it's going to impact a lot of people. We want it to impact a lot of people. We want it to impact the local subcontractors and local vendors that can participate in the project, and how do we get that to happen? We'd like to sit down and have several strategy sessions with you as the board and other members in the community and talk about how we can get more and more people involved in the project and get more and more people excited about it. We can do that through some outreach activities. We can do some outreach activities early on in the project with the subs and suppliers to get them involved, but also throughout the course of the project with our neighbors around the site and with the other citizens that are in Williston to make sure that they understand what's happening and how this project is moving forward and what they can expect to see as they drive by. The mentorship program is something that Ulrich Construction has a lot of experience actually on both sides of the mentorship program. But that's a program where we can take larger, more established firms, partner them with some of the smaller guys, and that they can get some experience and some help on how to take that next step. And then lastly, when we start bidding out the project, looking at how we break up the scopes of work so that people can bid on scopes of work that they could actually do. For example, there may be a concrete contractor that's really interested in doing the work, and maybe he's not big enough to do all of the concrete, but we might be able to break it up so that he could do the concrete on just the gymnasium. We'll try to get him involved.
That's right, Brandon. Orange Construction Gilbane, as a team, Orange Construction brings 10 years of relationships and experience in this area, and Gilbane brings 40 years of experience, which means we have a wide net of subcontractor pool in order to bring together local subs, people that are heavily involved in these areas, and able to get local people involved and make sure that this project, which has such an impact on Williston, it's a big project for Williston. Williston may never see a project of this magnitude again. So to get people involved, we're going to use these relationships to get people out here. For instance, WWA, B.E. Whitehurst, the Larkville Group. These are just some of the contractors that are actually have a lot of ties to Williston. Now, some of them may not be based in Williston, but a lot of the people that work for these companies come from Williston and are heavily involved. So it's very important that we get companies like this involved with this project. For companies that aren't directly tied to Williston, that's where we have the Builders Association. That's a great group that we're all involved in. Ivan was president, past president of that organization. Brandon will be president-elect next year. It's a unique opportunity for us to get local people in and around the North Central Florida area to bid on this project, to use those relationships to make sure we get the best pricing from the best subs in order to get this project delivered to you on time and on schedule.
And before we talk about the site, we've been to your site and we know it, but I want to briefly just say, you mentioned the experience with this team. 15 years, we take pride in what we do, and we bonded. But my key point there is that out of those 15 years, with dealing with different clients up and down the East Coast, as far as Savannah, we've had repeat customers. We've built another school for them. I just want to say we take pride in what we do. Those say part of the language, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we're prideful of that. But going into your site here, Matt and I have been out there, the team's been out there. We want to bring your attention to the fact that we know your site. First of all, the elementary schools up here is very congested. Safety, Jason mentioned. We're very concerned about safety, not only with our workers, but with our students over here at the elementary school. We're trying to bring people in 41st Street, State Road 41 down here, down into where, pardon me for getting in the screen, but the eventual bus loop, so you use that for egress, and the signage out here will keep our traffic safe, keep it away from our students. Safety is very important to us there, and the proper means of egress to the site.
That's right, Romy. We were so excited we couldn't wait to build the project. We've already been out there and kind of been nosing around. One of the first things we noticed is that there's an existing water well on the site. Our first idea was, hey, let's use this as our temporary water source. We got it right here. All we got to do is just hook it up and get it going. So that's one problem solved already. Other utilities, power and water, permanent power and water, are located on the south side of 316. That's great for us because that means we don't have to cross the roads. We can go ahead and tie into these services without affecting people in the area. We've identified those as great things to work with. One thing that will be a challenge though is the sewer system that's coming as a force main from the north side of 316. That's what currently serves the elementary school. So that will be something that we will have to coordinate with the surrounding area to make sure we get that tie-in as quick and efficient as possible. Included with knowing that we're working next to the WES, we recognize the fact that we are a job site next to that. While we're not directly on the property, we will still enforce Jessica Lunsford Act policy with our workers on site to make sure that we have the right people working on our job and resolve any concerns we may have there. In addition to all that, while we were nosing around, we noticed that there is an existing cemetery on site. This is actually a really neat piece of history right here, Civil War Cemetery. We do recognize the fact that this is an important piece for the families, and it's something that's going to be incorporated in some form or fashion with the school, whether it's a memorial or leaving the cemetery in place. So the first thing we're going to do when we get on site is we're going to make sure we take care of this. We're going to protect it from the construction process and make sure that we keep it intact. And we also recognize that we'll have to assist you, whether it's building a memorial or having this graveyard relocated to another property, ceremonies and all the things that go with that. We recognize that, and we understand that we have a responsibility making sure that we address this properly.
And both the facts about the site, it intrigued me so much back in the south part of it, the boulders and stuff. You know, what a nature exhibit back there. We're gonna find other boulders, I'm sure, on this site that we might utilize throughout, across the site to, even enhance some of the natural nature in that area. I'm from Northeast Florida, been here all my life, but I don't get to see boulders, so I'm really intrigued by that. But let's go into the fact of what we know about your site. This is a, this picture here depicts the team, and of course, you know, the older guys digging the hole. I don't understand that. But we went down 4 feet. I got 2 feet. Ivy come in and took over. Went down. We're passionate about what we do. We want to know what we're going to do before we get there. We can see that school built already, but we need to start at the ground. And this is what's actually on your site. This is your soil samples in a 3-foot increment. So we know what we're building on. We want to know that because not only you can see the building going up, but what's underneath it is very important. It'll be there forever. We want to go on solid ground, and we go to the extent of, you know, digging it, seeing it, feeling it, touching it, knowing what we got. So we want the foundation to be on solid ground. And we enjoy doing that too. That's our passion, what we do.
Thank you, Ron. Now I want to talk about our knowledge of the vertical construction. Photograph on the top right is of Rimfire, the prototype of the school that is designed for Williston. I actually worked on that project as well as Robert Hayes was the design principal in charge during the construction of that job. So we're familiar, we worked with Paul Stressing. We like this design and we know you're going to like it. A couple of the features we wanted to talk about is the sensitivity to security and maintenance. One of the features that's in it is louvered windows. They're metal, they're on the outside, you can lock them from the inside. If you have a security event, you know, it makes it really easy to lock down. Maintenance issues, we know that's a big one. The mezzanine design is a unique feature in this project where your mechanical rooms are up above the corridor, the main corridor, so you've got one ladder, you can get to all your air conditioners and stuff, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. Loadmaster roof, that's kind of the Cadillac of roof systems. You get a warranty from the bar joist all the way to the top of the roof panels using the zip rim metal roof. EHPA design, we understand that, you know, the county needs more shelter space, and this is going to be designed as EHPA, and you want to use block and brick construction for your exterior walls for moisture and appearance. So I want to get into the EHPA a little bit more. We built, you know, multiple facilities with EHPA components on them. In addition to the enhanced wind loads, you got to beef up the structure so they can withstand higher wind loads, but you've got to worry about the missile impact of your windows, doors, walls, even the roof has to be missile impact rated. Emergency power, you got to be able to operate for extended hours. Got fuel storage concerns. And also, with it being an EHPA building, it'll require a threshold inspection, which will be a third-party inspection that probably the school board would hire, you know, an outside firm to inspect all the structural related issues. One of the things that we get high marks on is the EHPA manual. When you convert a school into a shelter area, there's a lot of, you'll have new people coming in, Red Cross, emergency management people, not familiar with how the school operates, the generator system. We put together a good EHP manual that tells anyone that comes into school how to operate the school and then how to convert it back to its school function. And the EHPA management office, that's another big component. You got to have it centrally located. So they got PA systems, fire alarm panels, all that located close to the area. So in all, we've built at least 17 projects with EHPA design.
Now, vocational components. We understand vocational. We understand it's important. Philip here is a former president of the FFA chapter that he was in. I sat in Mr. Philpott's class for many years at FFA at school. So we understand that agriculture is a big part of this school, and the vocational process is with this. So one of our first ideas for vocational, besides just, you know, knowing construction, we've all built greenhouses, we built agricultural, facilities that go with vocational buildings. But one of the ideas we had was getting the students involved with the construction process, because construction is a vocational
ideas, so we're thinking, hey, why not bring the kids out during the construction of the building, of these spaces as well, and let them see what's going on, let them understand, so that way we can enhance the currently enrolled students in these programs and let them see what actually happens in the real world and let them be a part of that process.
Oh, this is big. You know, before we go into this particular picture, we're going to talk about QIC program, quality in construction. I can talk to you all day long about quality in construction. When you take and you put a pipe in the ground and you put the last screw in the roof, there's millions of things that we do to maintain quality in construction. It starts with procurement of materials, mock-ups, and showing the subs. Well, I just want to take a couple of them and mention them to you as to how we monitor that. And incidentally, I started mixing mortar when I was 12 years old. I started laying these things when I was 16. So, you know, that's really going to put me on up there. Don't do the math. But what I'm saying is I'm proud of that fact. That I've been able to be involved in that and learn the latest techniques of quality. You know, I can build a masonry building. That's what I was. But my point is the quality, we check the flashing, we check the water intrusion. Buildings in Florida is moisture prone, right? Everywhere. So we really strive for a good building envelope with the proper waterproofing, the proper weeping to keep the fluorescence down on the brick, as well as the interior, that big word, moisture and mold. So it don't happen here. We've got a quality program, and that's just one area. This here is the mezzanine you talked about. Paul's built it, some of the teams built, I built 2 schools with this same mezzanine. Man, it's a superintendent's dream. It's a maintenance guy's dream. You've got a corridor down here, in your classrooms, your maintenance, or your air handlers, your supply ducts, cable trays, filter coils that you change, sprinkler system. Those feed off of that mezzanine, which is up there away from students. Look, maintenance guys, go down there like picking cotton. Yeah, it's real easy. It's a dream. You go through there and you pull your filters, you get the end of it, you're done. So this maintenance thing, we've done it, I built 2, it's a great idea. Doesn't ever interrupt your students when you're doing maintenance. So just a couple things, a few things there for us, quality, the advantages of this mezzanine.
Thank you. What we're going to show you now is our approach to how we will build the school. What you're looking at is a site plan again, and up at the top is a calendar. We anticipate construction starting in September, pending financing and stuff, the funds, which we'll talk about later. But we're going to start with the central cafeteria music suite. It's the most complicated part. It has your food service areas, your main electric rooms. So when we get started in there, then we'll move to the administration area. And as the walls and steel structure starts going up on that, the roof will be closed in behind you. This thing is built so the subs can move progressively through the site in an orderly fashion. Then as the vocational wing has got the walls going on it, you'll notice the roof's going on the administration, bar joists, running out through the high school and middle school wings. Then around July, we've got the roofs closed in on those buildings, and you'll notice we've started the foundation and wall structure on the gymnasium. Then by November, we've got all the buildings dried in, finishes are completing, and we feel very confident that we can have this school built by the end of December 2015. And then here's a photograph, the rendering of the whole site of the school.
Some other components to our approach that we think separates us from our competition. One of those is a tool that's called interdisciplinary document coordination. Say that 3 times fast. What that is a group of individuals within our firm that looks at documents. We even have a retired fire marshal on staff. We have design professionals that are on staff, and they're there to help the design team work collaboratively with them to make sure that we get the best set of documents. We know Paul can bring that to us, but it's just another set of eyes looking at your plans. And that's something that we don't think anyone else has. What it does for you is it reduces RFIs, which enables us to minimize changes during construction. and expedites the project delivery where we're not waiting on information during the project. Our scheduling approach, this team has never not delivered a school on time. We've always delivered our schools in time for school to start. And how we do that is we start with a team buy-in kickoff meeting that all the stakeholders are there. There's a picture of a recent one where everyone puts the restraints and the time frames they need on the board, and we take that information and develop a CPM schedule using our P6 software. And what that does is enables us to manage that information and get it to the subs timely. Romy and Matt in the field will then break that up into a detailed schedule that they will make sure that we stay on that schedule during the construction process. Another tool we use that only we have, this is a software program that manages all the paper flow on the project. It's something that is based on workflow, meaning that when issues come up, it tracks it to completion. It constantly reminds the person that's the decision maker to follow up and complete it. We really think that separates us from our competition also. Here's an example of some of the things that it tracks. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about what happens after the building's done. Once the building's completed and you guys take ownership of the building, then some other phase of construction starts. Everybody in the state of Florida has limited PICO funds, so that affects the ability to hire staff to maintain the building. It affects the ability to create any work order programs that you want to do to track the maintenance of the building. We've got several different solutions. Number one is we like to work with Paul and his MEP team to look at how those systems are put together and how we can probably make those maintenance items easier to access. And Romy already hit off on the mezzanine and making sure that's coordinated so they can get stuff in and out very easily. In-depth facilities training, it's not just one day and we videotape it and you get one day and then we'll see you later. It's more in-depth than that. We can bring folks back, a month after school's been in session, maybe your cafeteria folks have been using the equipment for a month. Let's bring the training back in. Let's do it again. They have more time to get familiar with the equipment and ask those questions if they need to. We're extremely confident in the quality of our construction. That confidence is going to lead us to provide a 3-year extended warranty on all the entire building. We can also work with you to look at extended maintenance contracts. If an extended maintenance contract, for example, with the WWA or somebody who would put in the mechanical system, if that makes more sense than having direct county employees doing the maintenance for 2 or 3 years, we can work with you to try to negotiate those. As well as an extended on-site presence. If desired, we can provide somebody on the team, somebody that knows those systems, that can be on-site and help with some of that transition, help answer some of those questions that are going to come up.
The other component that we want to make sure you do is we have a facilities management arm to Gilbane, and we know what you go through in maintaining your buildings. And having that mindset, we can create systems that it's easier to maintenance. The real key here is that we're not just here to be your partner during construction, we're your partner long-term, and not even just on this project, but for future needs.
All right, we're going to get this wrapped up, but now Robert and I are going to present a couple ideas about creative ideas with the financing and construction accounting and using the funds that are allotted. These funds come with constraints about what they can be used for, and so we have some ideas about that. Part of the job is going to require a job office trailer out there. And opposed to doing that, we were looking at using the field house on the south end, or the west end of the football field there, the track, and make that building our office. And then when we get those funds that we're going towards temporary office space, can instead go to a building that can be left behind when we leave the site. Another concept along that same lines is we have to do mock-ups. Romy talked about that a little bit, and how the parts and pieces go together. We got to do that so that we have approval from the architect. Everybody knows how everything's going to go together. Why not use one of those concession stands and make that a mock-up? So it'll have all the same parts and pieces as the big building, and that's a great place to do that and a great place to use those funds. Robert?
So if you remember in our proposal, and I'm going to wrap this up, I know we're down to the final minute or two. Gilbane has been around for 140 years, and we have our own development arm that could be involved. We understand that the funds are coming over several periods or several increments over several years. And that's really not the best way to build a school with the present value of money. So if we have offered a solution to bring bridge or gap financing to this project, We also, if having Gilbane involved legally on that side is something that you don't think is arm's length enough, then we have other partners that we do this with all over the country in P3 buildings. Here's a letter from Star America. I have a copy of this, Bob, for you to leave with you, but they mentioned your project. They've looked at the RFQ, they've looked at the Williston High project, and they're ready to move forward with it. These two facility pictures you see right here are two recent high schools that we did the same thing for the district in Houston, Texas. We built two high schools for them. So we were able to help. Jason, run them through this graph real quick.
Real quick, the red line is our gap funding scenario and the standard construction S-curve cash flow. You see our completion by the end of 15 under the gap funding scenario. Under the green step funding, we would have to push the start date out to, so that blue S-curve is considering a stage funding, and it is a year impact to the schedule, doing it that way versus the gap funding.
We provided the references that you asked for and quotes on the leave behind that's in front of you. So I'm not going to read these to you. The last quote, I'll just point out, it says, Romy Dover is one of the best superintendents I've ever worked with in my 26 years. That's a recent high school that Jason and Romy just completed, and an architect up in Savannah. Ivan and I are proud of the team we put together. We really thank you for this opportunity. We feel like we brought the best of both worlds to this project. Gilbane's been working in Florida since the late 70s, and Ivan is a local partner here. Matt is passionate, as you can see. He went to Williston High, and we know how important it is to leave every single dollar we can here locally, and put every single person to work that we can. We do that in every county we go to. It's important. These projects don't come along every other year, so we're passionate about that. And with the last 10 seconds, I'm just going to let Matt close.
I'm reminded of the time when I used to walk those halls. I used to look up and see the class pictures up high above the locker rooms, and I always imagine what would people see when my picture was up there. What would that leave behind? And hopefully I can come back and be a part of this new school. And when they see that picture, they can say, hey, that's the guy that built the school. Maybe I can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Open it up for questions and answers. Basically.
Yes, sir, I have a couple questions for you. What are y'all working on right now? As far as what's going on with you, as far as what's the building out there?
Jason, you want to take that?
Sure. Our region has a school in Savannah that we were awarded, a K through 8. That's not going to start till April. It'll be done next year. We have in Gainesville, we have a police department that we're finishing up here in the next couple of months. There's a lot of work we're chasing.
We're building Wheatley K-8, which is down in Orange County Public Schools in Orlando. That's part of my territory. Teams down in Orlando, we just were awarded and started construction on Celebration High School, big addition to it. That's in Osceola County. We just completed a quick project for John Davis in Lake County, who would be a great reference.
The reason why I'm asking the question is because I'm sure that you're going to be getting on other projects.
Yes, sir.
I hope you do it. I want to know what's happening to ours.
This team is committed. I'm committed to the team right here.
This is the third working on what's now.
Yes, sir. This is your team.
You won't pull them off and put them anywhere else.
No, we understand that's a part of the contract.
They'll be there with us to the
I'm prepared to sign that contract that says that, yes, sir. I understood it was part of the contract. I said, Ivan and I are proud of this team. Yeah.
My final question is, and I think I know the answer already, but I'm not 100% sold on getting the money yet. We got some folk in this room that are, okay? But what I want to do is, if you get this bid, would you help us lobby the legislature
Absolutely.
to ensure that we get this money for our school in Wilson?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. In fact, we have people that can help with that.
Never do good help. Thank you very much. Mr. Kermit.
All but one really got answered, and saw you were making use of like WWJ and Barfield Group that we were very familiar with. But those are local, even small sub, even let's say in Williston, almost Levy County, I don't know what Gainesville you is. But I may not be on your list at this time. Would you going to come out and see if I'm local and what you can do to help me get?
Those are those outreach events.
Yeah, we'll go through several outreach events where we'll advertise if the school is coming up, if there are scopes of work, and we'll list out what those scopes of work are. And then we'll have basically, we're like outreach seminars. We'll find a space where we can sit down and bring folks in. We do it with small businesses, actually UF all the time, to bring more and more of those small guys that are just starting out, bring them in, find out what they can do, find out how many people they have in the company, what size projects are they doing right now, and then figure out ways where we can either partner them with somebody that's, maybe it's a small-time HVAC guy, and he can do duct work, and he can work directly with WWA. Or like I said, we can break some of those things up where, they just do a little bit here and there. They may just do, they may work with the Barfield Group to help
Smaller
with some
plumbers
installation.
locally that could work with somebody like Quality. We do that, that's something we do, we take great pride in, because a lot of the small folks, they don't have the insurances, they don't have the bonding capacity. So Brandon said, we'll break up the package as small as we can, that makes sense for you, the stakeholders, but we'll also pair those folks up, what we call tier 2 and tier 3 trades, with the tier 1s, and have them work together so that their bonding and insurance is provided.
Y'all did mention extended warranties, how do you go about getting that done? With your sub, let's say.
Well, many subs, we've done this for Duval County in the past, and many subs are already used to giving an extended warranty. The maintenance contract is something that really just makes sense to you. Do you want to have us included in construction funds, or do you want to have it out of your maintenance budget over the next couple of years? It's something that's got to be done. It's maintenance of the equipment. But the warranties really isn't a huge impact. It's something that a lot of subs are used to providing, and we've provided before. And we really have some confidence in our.
As we break down the bid packages, there'll be a scope sheet that plainly states what we're asking for, and that'll be one of the scope items in there to include the 3-year warranty. If there's cost involved, there'll be a spot, they can add the cost out there.
But you get that bought when it's still a competitive bid scenario, so you're getting, the best value for the same warranty.
With a combination of Ulrich and Gilbane, how will that warranty work? Who's gonna give us the assurance that you will be here?
I'll be the main, when you have a warranty issue, you'll call me first, and I'll be the one that disperses it, to the subcontractor or wherever it needs to go. Gilbane will be the.
I'm gonna have your cell number.
Yes, sir.
Tonight.
You're gonna have all of them.
Okay.
Yes, sir, you have all our phone numbers.
I know where you live.
Just come knock on the door, you got a problem, you let me know, we'll make it right.
We know where you ride the bicycle.
That's it.
And y'all have a 3-year warranty.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Well, a lifetime commitment to our quality, what we want.
Yeah, don't let those numbers fool you.
Absolutely.
I still get callbacks on projects I completed 4 or 5 years ago, just weird things, like, hey, the door's not working, man, can you come look at it? I come there and look at it, I'll be there after work, I'll go over and I'll check it out and help you guys out, and that's what we're here for. It's about getting things done.
Yeah, this business, you can't stay, you ain't gonna be in business long, take care of your clients, stand behind what you do. That's, we built a business on that, we talked about the value earlier.
Thank you.
And with these teams, I just gotta say this, folks, because it's pride. In those 15 years of delivering schools, I said we have repeat clients. We've not yet, not finished one on time with quality and stand behind it and under budget. Satisfied the client. I got a little tagboard in my old woodworking shop. It's barred out there with the schools I built. I put a check mark: quality, satisfied client, on time and under budget. So, I know this team. I've been with them. It's wonderful. It's a prideful thing to do.
Well, with that, you just answered my question about the, y'all mentioned on time, but on budget. So there's never been a school that you've gone over budget
Not
on?
15 years of this team, and I've been building for 15 years.
And you did a thorough check and everything, so what do you see as the biggest challenge for the school?
Really, there's not a challenge. We've built it so many times. We already know the challenges come ahead. Big as I have to, it might be a boulder right there under the footing somewhere that we don't know about. You know, really
The
true.
financing is definitely will make this job a great success. If there's a way to get it built quicker for you, that's what's gonna make a difference, more than the construction of the school, for sure.
I will say this because I built the school. I built the school in Flagler County. Philip was with me. It's a great design. It's very efficient design. And Paula and her maintenance staff still love it. I mean, there's no issues with it, so.
When you say you built a school, you're referring to Rimfire.
Yes, sir, Rimfire.
And you had direct responsibilities.
I was the principal in charge, that's correct. Yes, sir. And Philip was on site. And, but it's a great school. It's a great design, it's efficient design. So it's a greenfield site, you know, it's a lot of schools that we do we come in and we're having to do additions and tight situations and active campuses. There are a whole lot of challenges.
I'm only allowed one question, but I got 4 parts to it. But I want to know what you can do, what's special about you building this that you can bring that you haven't mentioned before, or nobody knows about. What makes you unique?
Well, I think our passion. I mean, I really do believe this team right here, for different reasons, and the success that we've had. We've been building schools in Florida forever, and built more schools in Florida than any other contractor. So reputation is at stake. We're all about client satisfaction. We'll be giving you 3 to 4 surveys to the course of the project to see how we're doing, to make sure we're doing the job that you expect us to do. The quality you'll be left with. You want to add to that?
I mean, I think, to me, it's about the team. You're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You got a Jill Bain, they're a big company, they're the biggest school builder in the United States. And you're also getting the local old construction. I mean, we live here. Matt literally lives in Williston. I mean, we're bringing
Where's your office in Newberry?
It's, when you go to the light, we're right there across from Pickett's, and Ace, right next door to Ace. The yellow house sets up on the hill, or the hill in Newberry.
Jason, can I add to that, Robert? Sure. Look, we talk about resources, big companies, small companies. Look, it's the bond you make and the knowledge you have, regardless of the time. But to answer the question, this is not just a team. We talk about big companies, we got people back there that sending me quality issues. You know, we got people behind the scenes you don't see here today with Gil Bain. Like you said, look at cost, verifying cost, verifying quality of products, and then engineers back behind the scenes that looks at your project. Am I right? So we've got, that's what we bring.
Tools, resources,
Yes.
the lessons, national lessons learned to the local lessons learned. I mean,
Trust me,
we're going to work hard with Paul to make sure this project stays under the budget, and we provide you with the best quality products.
That's what I'm after. Give me, you got 1 minute. You want to wrap up and say anything that you want to. You got 1 minute.
I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity. We want to walk away today with knowing that we're going to have you as a client, and we can prove to you that everything we said today, we're going to provide for you. And we do have some unique tools and some unique resources that we can bring on bear to this project if you choose. Matt, you got 10 seconds.
Again? Like I said earlier, we bring the relationships, we bring the knowledge of the area. The way things get done is through our relationships. Like you said with the small guys, we can bring on the M&M masonries, the Triple H, concretes. We can bring up the Sunshine Plumbing right out of Bronson. We can get these people involved. We understand what this school is going to do to this community. It is going to be life-changing, and we understand that, and we're here to make it come true.
Mr. Kidd?
I just would like for them to elucidate on that construction trailer, not trailer, building. Usually it's a trailer, but that and the mock-up building that you talked about. Is that possible? You're gonna build a building?
Expand on
Expand on it.
The concept is we have, typically we put trailers out there. In a job this size, you won't have 2 or 3 trailers. And all that obviously costs money. And so the concept is to divert those dollars and use it to build the shell of the field house. We can put an office in there, it doesn't need to be fancy, it is a construction office, but we do need space. I mean, there's going to be boxes of drawings and.
It wouldn't have plumbing fixtures, it would be a shell used for construction that later on.
We talked about it, Paul, we may rough in some plumbing, because we're gonna need plumbing in our trailer. So we may do that, but we would be leaving a shell of a facility with some utilities that would be a great head start to getting the building that we need to
Because
get.
special funding won't fund.
Right.
Well, typically, those are soft costs, soft costs that you're going to.
You gotta spend them anyway.
Yeah. Because we've got to have a place to sit down and work and.
Correct.
Do what goes in the building.
And that mock-up building, and how will that, that's similar way?
Typically, you'll go out and build a wall out in the middle of the field.
A couple of them.
A couple of them. You'll do it and fall on it, I don't want this, whatever. And,
Then you tear it down.
Yeah, we should tear it down, throw it in the dumpster.
Yeah, but we won't tear it down.
Yeah, we'll leave it up and you can make your concessions.
Yeah.
It'll be strategically placed.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Calvin, I will give you a chance to ask one question. You got a question, sir?
I'm okay.
Mr. Asble?
I'm good.
Okay, good deal. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
All right, I guess,
If we could wait just 1 minute, this is a public meeting, and from this point on, all of them could have been in here had they said they wanted to, but we asked them in fairness to not be here during somebody else's presentation. But at this point on, if they want to come in, it's a public meeting and they can come in. So he's going out to tell them.
Can we ask questions?
Sure.
I want to know about the funding they kept referring to with that gap, and I know that we get our funding and we get it from the state, so tell me about, a couple of them referred to getting it from a different source.
Well, what they were talking about is, we'll get, basically, we'll be over a 3-year period, we'll get money in July 14, 15, and 16.
Uh-huh.
And they were talking about the construction, which is completed by the end of December of 15.
Right.
So they'll be done with their construction, and obviously they want their money.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So there's gonna be a gap between the time they finish construction and the time that we get that last draw, it'll be July 16th. So it could be as much as $8–10 million. I'm not sure exactly what that number will be, it depends on how far along the process is, but we have some reserves, but I don't know that we would have enough reserves to cover that full gap.
So you have looked at that and that potential problem,
We have.
the issue that will be there. And
what that
then
does-
that'll be the interest too on that, right?
Well, the thing is though, if you leave the project open, then they'll keep tagging you for general conditions. So you're gonna pay for it one way or the other. You're gonna either pay for it, borrow the money and pay it off, or they're gonna just drag it out and they'll still be charging you for general conditions on the job. So it's to our advantage to close it out as quickly as possible. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, this project is about an 18, 19, maybe 20-month construction duration. Because of the funding over 3 years. Now, it's just 3 years, but remember, it's really 2 years and a week.
Right.
Because of the way the funding is. But if you look at that, and if the contractor waits to get the last funding, he's gonna be another 3 months in finishing the project. There's a cost for general conditions that a contractor carries, and if you can finish a project in 18 months versus, say, 26 months, there's about $300,000 to $400,000 potential in general conditions. So if you could somehow get a bridge amount of money that would cover that, you might be paying $40,000 or $50,000 in interest, which would more than satisfy the actual cost for general conditions. And what you would do is bring about $240,000, $250,000 back into the project. So but the project's about an 18, 19 month, maybe 20-month project. But because of the funding, though, it extends out. So reducing it, there's actual savings that can come back into the project.
Oh, good, thank you for explaining.
general conditions, if I might add, is like, they will know how much it costs to lay a block and a brick today, but 3 years from now, how much would it cost? So when you do it in a more concise period of time, you're better off than spreading it out.
Right.
You're not paying for job trailers, you're not paying for phone, you're not paying for electricity, all that stuff. It goes along with general conditions. There's some real merit to it.
All right, another question. Ms. Brooks, do you have any more questions?
I think that's all I have right now, thank you.
Mr. Cowell? Mr. Adams?
Mr. Stressing has worked with all three of them. I won't put him on the spot, but I won't put you on the spot.
I don't know that he.
Can he, I mean, are you comfortable? I wouldn't ask you to pick one.
No, I'm comfortable.
If we pick any of those three, can they do it?
Yeah, I think the short listing that the committee did to this point was spot on. I mean, you got three very competent CMs. I have the utmost respect for all three of them. I can work, in my relationships with them, I think it's always been professional. And I do think each of them have the owner's best interest in heart. But I can work with all three, and I think you've done a fine job to this point. And you've got, the board has a problem, but you've got a really good problem. Because you're dealing with a cream problem. And you need to look at who is gonna be the best fit for this project, and who's gonna give you the best service and be here. Not only through the construction phase, but for many years after.
Any other questions?
Does Mr. Alexander, the last presentation, they were gonna get it done quicker than anybody else. They can do that?
Yes, sir, I believe they can do what they said they could do. As I do believe that, like Mr. Stressing just said, capabilities of these 8 people that we had apply were spot on. If any one of the 8 could build this project, these were the 3 top, in my opinion.
And your opinion matters.
Would that not, though, be contingent on us with the funds?
No, sir, there was some people that spoke to you today about that, and Ms. Brookins just addressed. There's gaps that they can do.
No, I'm talking about the funding initially. Not the.
Right, well, we are, I thought we were all assuming that we were gonna get that funding, that's what we got up here for.
Everybody except that you feel.
It's coming.
Just not quite as sure some of them
Tell Mr. Philpott, it's coming.
I've been trying to, but, you know, he's a half-empty guy.
There was some options presented though, which would allow, whether even if that was delayed a little bit, there were some options presented today that if the board decided to act on, that, you know, give you another opportunity if you saw.
But I presume though, as per the discussion was going, that if the money is made available sooner, you know, to start, you know, the approval of the money by the Appropriations Committee was made available sooner than we anticipated. Either of the 3 companies that we listened to this morning would be able to complete the project early. I think I heard all of it. I think through a question, I think I heard all of it say.
Yeah, this is an 18, 19-month project. It's not a 3-year project. However, I think when DOE and the legislature is entertaining it stretching over 3 years, I think what it allowed them to do is bring additional counties in so that more counties could benefit from this program. And I think that's why they spread it over 3 years, because they're able to pick up 2 or 3 other districts who are in the same position you're in. Because each year you're asking for less money.
And Mr. Turner, when they say 3 years, in my mind's eye, we're talking 2, because we're gonna get, the first check will be cut in July of this year, and the last check will be cut in July of 16. So it's 24 months period of time, but it's 3 fiscal years that they cut the checks.
Any other questions?
Well, I just want to be clear on one thing. I know that we got the years of warranty on a couple, or maybe I missed it in my notes, but on the first company, they just said extended warranties. How long are the warranties on the equipment?
Well, let me just
Can't answer.
let's not reopen it to a new presentation.
Okay, all right,
If you
all right.
mind,
Okay,
I
that's
think the
fine.
board can discuss it amongst themselves.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I felt that one had a 1-year warranty, 2-year warranty. That was the impression I got from the discussion.
I didn't get that impression.
I'm just saying that was the impression I got.
I got the impression there would be discussions. I may be going too far from what.
I asked a question pertaining to a warranty period, and it was not verbatim, but said, well, in the 1 year, you will have my cell phone. You call me. So I took that to imply it has a 1 year warranty. Two other presented flat out said.
Why would you have a cell phone number, you're gonna have a 1 year warranty after a year?
No, he said at that 1 year, during that 1 year. This was just the impression I got. Two others flat out stated 2 and 3 year warranties. The one said, during that 1 year, you will have my cell phone.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank all of you. I mean, I will be honest with you, this is the first time I've ever sat through one of these presentations. I'm very impressed. All three of you did a great job. And I appreciate your time, and I'm glad that you're here. Now, let's explain what's going to happen here. The lowest score is going to be awarded the bid. So you need to, like whoever you circle, you need to circle them number 1. Your second choice, you need to circle number 2. And obviously your last choice, you need to circle number 3. If there happens to be a tie, talk to the attorney, we'll bring the top 2 back in, one at a time, for like 2-3 minutes. We'll ask you some more questions, or you want to have something they want to say, and after that, we'll vote again. Everybody understand the process? Okay, Mr. Superintendent says you've got to sign your ballot. So at this time, let's have some fun.
I just want to say that all of them have outstanding qualities, and everybody did a great job, and I mean, every one of you have wonderful qualities that you great to the building.
I wish there could have been one that kept getting input.
I know, it's not.
I'll probably do it, and we can't build 3 schools right now.
Can't.
That makes it all year, each one could have one. Okay, the winning bid is by the Gilbane Building Association. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You did. Wait, you couldn't get on the job. Bomb.
All right.
That's the one we got business. We got business here.
Okay, thank y'all very much. I know for me that's kind of a record pack deal. Well, everybody, I hope you have a chance to, look at the minutes. Ms. Taylor, is there any additions or corrections to the minute? Anybody got any questions about the minute?
I move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Consent agenda. Ms. Pam, is there any additions to those, to that, or corrections? Mr. Turner, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Turner?
No, sir.
No, I thought you said Mr. Attorney. I was on the bar on the
What, I don't probably at all, what do you mean, be or not? Mr. Adams?
I just had, just a thing I noticed, we have a couple of items that we were in fact voting on after they occurred, and I think we discussed it at the last meeting, it's just things that popped up, whatever, or changes. And it always sort of freaks me out when I see that I'm voting on something that we already did, but that's all I have.
With between 800 and 900 employees and situations that arise, I don't think we'll ever get to 100%.
But we can try.
We try. Yeah, and I fully agree with that. And I think we are doing better than we were a few years ago, and we will continue to shoot for that. And we admonish all the schools all the time. And of course, you have some teachers that are better than others, but you do have situations, circumstances that change real quick. I know one of them was like, we had planned to send Dr. Winnett to the AVID conference, but because of some of his other priorities, we at the last minute switched to Michelle. But that was, you know.
That's usually what I figured.
It's one of those necessary things because of covering other things that need to be.
The ones that always worry me are things like, for lack of a better term, we know the National FFA Convention is always this time.
Yeah.
And after they go, we vote on it. We've
Yeah,
never had that happen.
those concern us too. I'm sure that we are concerned about those.
That's all I got, man.
Yes, I will.
I keep your business, Mr.
I know they are, Mr. Philpott.
Mr. Cowell? Thank you, Mr. Adams.
You got it,
The, under recommendations, converting that 12-month Title I secretary, that's an unfilled position right now. So
It is a secretary position right now, and what we would like to do is downgrade it to an aide position. So the secretary position is an unfilled position that's available right now, which the board approved about 2 years ago. But we're asking for you to change, to downgrade that to an aide position from a secretary position.
same hours.
Same hours.
That all, Mr. Cowell?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Brooks?
No, I have no questions.
Mr. Turner?
You already had my response. No, I have no question at this time, Mr. Philpott.
I have none either. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Approved. Mr. Superintendent?
Just briefly, I just want to say thank you to not only the team that came together to go over the packets, the 8 packets that were presented. That was a very time-consuming, tedious operation, that they took 2 days to do to examine everybody thoroughly. And I thank y'all for the time, energy, and effort that y'all put into that. And the board, that was not easy for y'all to do this morning. And, you know, that you certainly understand that, and I appreciate, you know, the attitude that you have to try to make sure we get the best school we can for the dollars that we had to spend. Thank you very much. A lot of things going on at the end of the school year, a lot of field trips, particularly with elementary, sporting events for high school. We're all very busy trying to make sure that we are attentive to our school's needs, and that's much appreciated. We have the girls' basketball team going down. In fact, they're leaving at 2 o'clock today. I don't know why, but they're going down to Lakeland to be in the semifinals from the Chiefland School in Lakeland tomorrow. I think it's at 1:30 tomorrow that they play, and if they win tomorrow, then of course they play the championship game to be the state champions on Thursday. Boys, we've still got Williston boys and Chiefland boys still involved in the playoffs and that. Not sure about Bronson.
Yes, sir, they're still.
Bronson's still into, so, you know, that's pretty awesome to have all those teams still. In fact, we had 3 of the high school girls team involved right down to the state's semifinals, regional semifinals. So that's very awesome. Thank you for all the support y'all give our schools in all these 1,400 cake options we have now.
We have them.
Oh, man. But, you know, y'all do such a great job supporting our schools, and I just want to say thank you for that. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Asman?
The only thing I have, just remind everybody about the Bronson FFA Food Fest.
Cake auction.
We're having a cake auction, of course. So we'd like you to come out, and
When is that?
the 28th, the last day of February. I believe that's a payday too, so come on out.
It's on your newsletter.
Oh, and if anybody needs something
I saw it.
barbecue coupons, I still got them for the
Coupon, what kind of coupon?
barbecues, man.
They were good deals.
They're good. That's a good deal. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's safe patrol money, because I got 2 going. I got to make some money.
That's family planning.
Whew. My wife's out.
You're gonna go with them?
I'm going with them too, and I'm ready.
No?
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Asman. Mr. Cowell?
Approximately a month from this week will be day in the legislature, so hopefully everybody has made plans and knows Pam has taken a role and got us all squared away. So, and I'm trying to twist Mr. Asbell's arm to make sure to set up our times on Thursday, that we can get him up there that day and get him out of there, so. But just know that that's going on. And other than that, that's not it.
Thank you, Mr. Cowell. Mr. Brooks? Mr. Turner?
They need to remind us again, though, the information they're getting is too far out in front.
Mr. Turner, you're the right thing to say?
Yes, sir, but sometimes
I
I forget where I write it down.
We gotta
So
set up the
y'all
Outlook
will
calendar.
remind us at the next meeting too of those same things?
No, we won't meet again before we all.
It'll be too late.
I will remind you about mine, though, yes, sir.
Would like to add that along with the basketball teams, I think, if I'm mistaken, you can help me here a little bit. I think all 4 FFA livestock judging teams qualified for the state finals,
Yes,
and they're all 4 in the top 10. So that'd be pretty cool.
it would be, it's gonna be awesome.
And that's all I have. Yes, sir.
I did have something. So Mr. Turner was there and Mr. Edison, and both their wives were there. So on Saturday, I got to go to I was invited to the Williston Middle High School FFA open house. Alumni. But had 2 students that did the plant biotechnology. And that was my first time ever seeing that done and being in that classroom. And it was amazing, to say the least. And that really does not cover how cool it was to watch those kids working, and there's some bright kids.
That's a very nice lab they have, I knew that. Great. That's all I have. Any other comment? Mr. Hastings said we're going to Williston Middle School first, where we eat. And then from there we go to the high school. Meeting adjourned to Williston Middle School.